Peace.
Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome back to another episode of Spilling the Tea with Saafiyah. This is the podcast that spills tea on everyday topics that impact everyday people. I'm your host, Saafiyah, and I'm here to serve insightful discussions, insightful conversations, and a whole lot of tea on the things that matter. On this podcast, it's all about keeping it real and getting down to the people. We explore a wide range of subjects that touch our lives and the world around us, from relationships, mental health, personal development, social issues, pop culture, travel, and everything in between. We are here to empower, educate, and listen. With each time, topics interest you. Be sure to tune in. Live with content on YouTube. And please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube at Spilling the Tea with Saafiyah. So if you're ready for the tea, grab your favorite beverage and settle in and get ready to sip on some truth. Today's episode is about Black expats living abroad in Africa. So what exactly is an expat? And I always say this by stating that according to the definition, expat is short for expatriate, and it refers to an individual who resides outside of their home country, typically for a temporary or extended period of time, often due to work, education, or personal reasons. Expats are individuals to live and work in foreign countries, embracing a different culture, language, and lifestyle. They may be professionals, students, retirees, or individuals seeking new experiences, opportunities abroad. Expats often maintain a connection to their home country while adapting to their host country's customs and norms, fostering cross-cultural understanding and enriching their personal and professional lives experience. So why Africa? Why are so many Black Americans choosing to expatriate to Africa? Well, right now, they're doing it for a variety of reasons. It's rooted from their desire for cultural, ancestral, and historical connection. But many of the decisions represent a quest for deeper understanding of their African roots and a chance to reconnect with their heritage. Africa offers a diverse and rich tapestry of culture, traditions, and languages that resonate with Black Americans' sense of belonging and connection. Additionally, some Black Americans are drawn to Africa with potential for economic and professional opportunities through entrepreneurship, career growth, or investment. The allure of escaping systemic racism and discrimination back here in the United States also plays a role, as Africa is seen as a place where people can live more freely and without the same barriers. Overall, the decision to expat African Black Americans represents a complex blend of cultural, and socio-economic motivation, hoping that through a deep connection with African roots and created a more fulfilling life. So one thing I must point out, and I always point this out, is that it's funny how the expat definition comes from a more Eurocentric definition, if I might say. And anytime folks of Eurocentric ancestry move around, whether it be to the United States, to Europe, to Asia, whatever, it's called expatting or expatriating. But when Black folks do it, it's called immigration. And, that is something that I want to go a little deeper into on a whole other podcast. So, right now, we're going to stick to the business. I have an awesome group of ladies that are joining me here today, all of who live on the continent of Africa, and they have their stories and experiences to share. So, without further ado, let these ladies introduce themselves. Please tell us about you. Dr. Wanda.
Okay, hey, I'm Dr. Wanda. I am a 34-year educator. I'm a professor, a Pan-Africanist, an education specialist, a grassroots activist, and I found myself in the U.S. overeducated, underemployed, and it was after a period of really sort of on the platform fighting on behalf of academics that someone came to me, an African, from a video that I was in that went viral and said, listen, uh, the continent needs you. And consider, they said, if you were any place else in the world, they would respect you and take you serious. But the continent needs you. Africa needs you. And that's really what started my journey in 2015, 2016 to the continent of Africa. And since then, I am 4 countries in. Still now, I'm in Ghana. This is the place that I've lived the longest and served the longest. And I'm still going strong. So it's less about expatriatism in a traditional sense and more about expanding my territory and reclaiming my ancestral birthright so that I could keep my identity as an academic, as an intellectual.
That's beautiful. And I cannot wait to hear about all of the wonderful things that you are doing there in Ghana. And I'm sure the listeners and the viewers are as eager to hear all about it as as I am. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Wanda. It is my
I'm honored.
pleasure. All
Thank
right.
you.
And, we're going to get some enjoyment and some education here today, y'all. All right. Miss Verdell, tell us
All right,
about
greetings,
you.
everyone. Yes. So my name is Verdell. I'm from Chicago, the west side of Chicago, not the suburbs, but like in the city. And I've been living in Ghana now for about 3 years. I'm an online English coach, but prior to that, I travel Asia and Europe teaching English. I have a master's in TESOL, and I do language coaching as well as teacher training. Love brought me to Ghana. So I moved to Ghana for my
Ooh, the L
boyfriend.
word.
Yes, love. My boyfriend, who is now my husband. And so Ghana is home. It's not the first African country I've traveled to. I've been to Kenya. I lived in Kenya for a little bit of time. And yeah, so love has brought me here. Love keeps me here. And I'm just on this journey of really, adjusting to life as an African wife, adjusting to life as um, a woman in Africa in a industrial environment. It's not rural, but industrial. And it's been quite the journey. And I'm excited to share a little bit, spill a little bit of tea about the experience and the transition.
Ooh, I can't wait for this tea. I can't wait for this tea. It looks like Aisha is trying to join us, but it looks like her screen is frozen. So I don't want to pop her on. I'm going to wait to see. Yeah, she disconnected. Okay. All right. So I have to ask the questions, ladies. Why Africa?
Well, Africa kind of it was always just like a bucket list. I think the majority of American Blacks think if before I die, I'd like to go to Africa and be with my people. And, we just have a very romantic vision of Africa being somehow a relief and an opposite of the American landscape. And so that we would be well received and well hosted and would be able to come and have a break from the chronic experience of racism. And so, yeah, it was an opportunity to see what options and opportunities were available for myself and for my last child, my daughter, because I traveled with then she was 5 when she started this, and actually she's about to come into her 13th birthday Sunday. So she's every place I've been, she's been through everything I've been through. So Africa picked me in a way because there were 3 African men who stepped forward at the time that I was fighting on these platforms for better treatment of academics. Because now being a professor is contract work. You really don't get tenure. And so it took a lot of us and threw us into poverty. And it was through there that they said, hey, you ought to consider going to Africa. And so I really hadn't even thought about it in any serious way until that conversation. And I did take the conversation to heart because I was beginning to regret the PhD. And so I felt like I had nothing to lose. Let me see how much, and I knew that Africans in general respected education. I knew enough about them through life experience. And, if you're in Chicago or in the Midwest in general, you do run into lots of specifically Nigerians who are highly educated, who end up being our TAs. Sometimes we get them in a Black Studies course, and so I knew education would be valued there. So I had really nothing to lose and everything to gain, and so that's what started that. So Africa wasn't. It wasn't like I said, oh, I got to go to Africa. It kind of called me through other voices because each one told me something different. One was Nigerian, and he told me to pick a country that was in the middle, that, Africa had the spectrum from, extensive poverty where it was painful, but then it also had palaces. So go someplace in the middle where it wouldn't be so extreme that I would be discouraged just by, the culture shock. The Ghanaian was the one who said, "Hey, they would you need it, and you'll be respected for your credentials, and I'll help you." And there was a younger brother that would, his people are from Liberia, and so he gave me more of the courage of just being open to applying all of my grassroots activism, and he just was consistently encouraging in my inboxes. So these were the 3 men that encouraged me, and all of them are authentic Africans. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Wow. Okay. That is one way to do it. I'm glad you did it because we get to be the beneficiary of all of the experiences and the knowledge that you have to share with us today.
Wow.
Great.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for sharing, Ms. Dr. Wanda. Let me hear from Verdell, okay?
Me, I say that my household, I can't necessarily say it was a Pan-African household, but my dad was very much like the white man's the devil, that type of mindset. But I still nonetheless had a heart's desire. I used to journal a lot, and I still do. And I wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to visit African countries since I was a child. And I think it was in 2012, 2013, I shaved my head and the hair fell into the shape of the continent of Africa. And there was a slash on it that was near Kenya. And at the time, I was looking for an African country to decide, of where to go for my internship for ministry school. And I didn't even consider Kenya. Kenya wasn't even in my mind. And so I saw the shape of the continent, literally at the barber was shaving my hair off, and as it was falling, she was sweeping it, and I looked and I took a picture. I think I'll try to send you the picture. And the hair was shaped like the continent, and there was a slash of the hair. There was bright slash across Kenya, and I was like, I'm supposed to go to Kenya. And when I landed in Kenya, it was my first time. I felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. My heart is for this country, but also for the continent at large. So it's that, and that's prior to my husband becoming my husband. And then him, like he was the seal, I guess like him being here, and living here and working here was like the seal that I needed. Like, okay, like I've always had a longing and desire like for this continent, and he's here. He has, his stuff here. I'm a traveling teacher. I can go wherever. So
Right.
um I'm gonna come. Like it's now is the time. Like it's the and everything worked itself together. And so that's why Africa for me.
I love it. Now, have you made it to Kenya yet for a
Yes,
visit?
that was my
Okay.
first. That
That
was
was
the
your
first
first step.
country. Yeah, that I went to. I lived there for like almost 4 months. Maybe it was 3 months. Yeah, and I was an intern. It was an amazing experience. And I even went there again, like once I finished my internship for another visit because of the connections that I made, and still in contact with my Kenyan friends. Yeah, so
Wow. That's beautiful. Well, again, I am glad that you made the journey and you just put yourself out there to make that big move, make that big chop at the same time. And that
yeah.
helped you with your decision. So that was, both monumental, life altering, I'm sure, experiences. So thank you so much for sharing that. So now, how has it been how has it been adapting to the cultural differences? Has that been a really big challenge during your time there that you've been in Africa so far? Is it tremendously different, the culture on the continent, than it is here in the United States, Dr.
It's
Wanda?
it's tremendously different, and it's not. So it depends on what you're seeking in culture. So and your level of willingness to adapt, but also um, remain autonomous. So some things culturally I don't want from other people. So there's no problem adapting because I'm not going to do that. I'm not meant to do that. That's what you do. So I don't mix apples with oranges. Like anybody can feel comfortable with the dancing, or the fabulous fabric and clothes, and some of the food. Although even in terms of cuisine, depending on where your sensitivities are, it can get challenging. Okay, so for example, a good okra stew may have the whole crab in it with the legs and the eyes, and they do eat the crab with the shell. So they eat the shell as well as the meat, and
Mm.
I'm sensitized to removing the meat from the crab shell. They have different variant sizes of it, and they explain like it actually clean. It's roughage. It actually does clean out your colon, but they're comfortable like that. They fry the shrimp and they leave the shrimp shell on. So it's not uncommon to have fried shrimp where the shell is there. And in the U.S. we would de-shell it. Many of us devein it, and then we kind of saute it. You understand? And so I have eaten it with the shell on. It almost gets like a potato chip. Gets that thin fried. I never would have thought you could do that. And so yeah, I can go there. They do eat octopus and sea urchin. So you have to see how far you can go with cultural challenges in terms of clothing and food and music. I am careful about festivals because some things that are being um, displayed or worshiped, it's not in conflict with me. I don't understand it. It's not a part of my spiritual system. I respect it, but I leave it where it's at, if that makes any sense. But other types of festivals excite me, like um, the family I'm connected to are guys, and so the guys have a twin festival every year because Ghana is full of twins. That's just a fact. They produce a lot of twins, and so there's a specific festival just for that. So when you think about things like that, that's simple. Now, when you're getting off into relationship building, now you're on another layer of cultural challenge. I'm used to a different type of sisterhood with women, and you will find a type of sisterhood, but it's not what you're used to. So I'm used to a girlfriend, and she out shopping, and if she see a pair of earrings and she got the money, she gonna pick those up for me because she know I'm gonna love on her the same way. The sisterhood here does not work that same way, and you have to prepare for that adjustment. And there is a certain level of loneliness that you feel because you sort of ache for a quote unquote sister. Um, there's an expectation that you have to lower that voice, lower that temperament. That you have to defer to men, and it is a bit of a requirement to maneuver in some business spaces, to make big moves when you're doing sort of community stuff. Because the reality is, this is a patriarchal nation. Men do most of the negotiating. They run most big things, and the women have a specific role. Well, I come from Black women, or women in general in America. We're bus drivers. We drive, 18 wheelers. We are CEOs. We're business women. We play a whole lot of roles that women here don't necessarily play. And so when you're trying to talk to them about things, or you're sharing ideas, again, it's not that you can't share it, but water seeks its own level. Sometimes you're struggling to seek your own level with a woman, but you can seek it with a man, but you still have to remember your role. That at the end of the day, oftentimes you find yourself having to defer to them, or have a man with you to get things done, to be protected, to have covering. So those are some of the challenges I can think of in terms of relationship. It's the same thing. We're not used to. They're not necessarily used to seeing a woman as a partner. They're used to seeing her as sort of a domesticated, almost assistant. Like there's an expectation that you cook, you clean, that you'll serve. And I've been an academic, a non-domestic type woman for a long time, a working class woman. So the working class woman is used to hiring somebody or training the children to assist with a lot of those roles, but she herself may not always do them. And so, it becomes a bit of a challenge to find someone that says, okay, I accept that in you, but without it being, a space of conflict. Those are some of the major things. And then the final thing I say is with my daughter. My daughter is my daughter. She's an American child. She's been raised by an American mom. So it took her maybe a couple of years to really understand how the respect and elder system works. Mm-hmm. What you can say to an adult, how you address an adult, what you can't say, how when you go to them, and the nature of issues they'll manage. That was initially a big challenge. Her learning like not to be on paper disrespectful. Now she has great mastery with that. So those are some of the, if I had to pick cultural challenges, I say those are a few that I've run into.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. It looks like we have Zenobia has joined us. Hello, Zenobia. How are you, Queen?
Hello. I'm all right.
Hi, Zenobia.
Welcome
Can
to
you guys hear me okay?
Little bit of an echo.
Little bit of an echo.
I hear you better now. Maybe you're talking into the mic now.
Hold on. Let me see if I can adjust my position. I apologize. I'm actually in here fighting malaria as we speak.
Oh, no. Whoa. I mean, hey, look, that comes with being on the continent, right?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you can actually kind of see it in my face where my eyes are a little dark under here.
Oh, my goodness. Well, under those circumstances, thank you so much for joining us. Please, please, please introduce yourself. The other ladies have introduced themselves. A quick, where you're from, what brought you to Africa, and where exactly are you? What country?
So my name is Zenobia Guy, also known as Z, or Dada Z, is what they call me here, which means like big sister or Auntie Z. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. I've been living here I'm in Togo, which is right next door to Ghana. I've been living in Togo since 2016. No, 2017. 2017, part-time. So I live here for 6 to 8 months, and then I go back to the States for 6 to 8 months. As far as work, I work in agriculture generally. I also work for FEMA. Here on the continent, I've been working in agriculture for some time, and I have a budding liquor company.
Hey.
It's called
Yeah. I'm sure the people gonna want to know all about that. But hang on to that, because we're gonna get into what y'all do for money over there in just a bit. Okay. So why Africa? For you?
For me, I wanted to be around. Well, I'm from a majority Black city. And I had the privilege of Wilmington, Delaware is 60% Black.
Okay.
Yep. 72,000 residents, 60% Black, and Wilmington has had about 70,000 residents and been 60% Black since the 1960s. So it's been a very Black city for a very long time. And you know, Delaware is the first state. It's the first state in America. It was a slave state. It was also a free state. The Mason-Dixon line runs through it, but also kind of sort of around it. So there was subtle racism that I experienced, but overwhelmingly, I experienced a lot of violence in Delaware.
Personally, toward you?
Personally, I've been in 3 shootings.
Oh.
And I wasn't doing anything but hanging out, you know,
right?
Just being outside. And bullets don't have names on them, so you know, it was a lot of violence in my city. And I never seemed to be able to get to where I should have been. And no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I did, I just never seemed to assume the position that I thought I should be in life. And I really wanted to be somewhere where it was an adventure. I know Delaware. I know the East Coast, you know. I wanted something that was brand new. And I'd been making plans to get out of the States for a while. I had an incident with police brutality, and I had made plans to get out of the States for quite some time.
Oh, wow.
And I made plans to join the Peace Corps. And when I joined the Peace Corps, it became an open option to like pick where you wanted to go. And of course, I wanted to be in a majority Black place. But there were some things that like put the Caribbean out for me. So I was like, well, let's see what's going on with Africa. And I looked through, and there was tons of information about the other African countries that you could go to with Peace Corps. There was very little on Togo, and I was seeking adventure. So I was like, let's go to this country that's part that, you know, clearly Black people have come from in America, but there's not that much information out there.
Yes.
And
I'm just learning about Togo.
Right. It's a small Francophone country. It has a population of 8 million. There's not much information about it because it's, you know, it's a wonderful place, but it's not historically significant because there hasn't been much violence here.
Okay. Is it an English-speaking country?
It's Francophone. It's a French-speaking country.
Wow.
However, within Togo, there are 40 different unique languages.
Okay.
So French is the official language. However, money is moved in a language called Ebe. And then there are other large ethnic groups that, 2 other main ones in the country, Kabye and Moba. So those 4 languages, you know, mostly everybody speaks some combination of those. I speak French.
Okay. You're fluent in French.
Yes.
Okay. That's great.
I became fluent in French in the country with the Peace Corps.
Okay.
Nice.
That's really good.
Well, I studied it in high school and college, but that's nothing like living in a Francophone country. So I studied French with the Peace Corps, you know, in their intensive system, but I also quit the Peace Corps. I was only with the Peace Corps for I think 9 months. It's a 2-year term. I quit the Peace Corps and came back because Peace Corps, they force you to live in places where you would never actually find yourself.
Mm.
And they force you to live with people where you would never actually, you wouldn't encounter them in regular life. Peace Corps put me, not everyone, but me in particular, it put me in a pretty decent situation, but they were some of the poorest people in Togo that I had to work with. And if I had not gotten out to see Togo on my own, that would be the only story that I would have about Togo, is the extreme poverty.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, not exactly knowing that when I quit, but like pretty much immediately after I quit, I got to experience the middle class of Togo and eventually the upper class of Togo. And it's a very, very, very different culture, lifestyle, everything.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Well, quickly, while I have you talking, how did you adjust to any cultural differences, or were there any challenges for you in that area?
Togo is religiously free. What I've experienced in other West African countries is they are pretty rigid on religion. Like Ghana is very Christian. Togo, however, it's as long as you practice something, it's okay. My first couple months in Togo, we moved into the heart of La Fetiche, like where the birthplace of essentially what we call voodoo. So I right off the bat, I had to adjust to seeing people practice what we call voodoo in public, and it was nothing like I was anticipating on TV or anything like that. Yeah, there was, they did absolutely. They sacrificed the chicken. They also ate that chicken afterwards. Like it was not just a spilling of blood. It had a purpose. It had a meaning. And the main concept behind what they practiced was what you put out into the world comes back to you. So
That is
I
true.
found
Very
that
true.
I found that, like Christians may do bad things and pray about it and believe that they're forgiven. The culture of the fetish is if you do bad things, something equally as bad will come back to you. So if you steal something from somebody, you may fall sick for months because you've stolen something. And they believe that a lot of illnesses and maladies and things like that are from people doing bad things in the world. So they go out of their way to make sure that you're comfortable. You know what I mean? That they don't do anything negative towards you.
Right.
So that was an adjustment in culture because like the pray and go away thing is not real in the culture. Like if you've done something wrong, somehow, some way, that's gonna come back to bite you in the butt.
What goes around comes around. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, like I work in agriculture, so I work with a lot of men, and they do not listen. It's hard to get men to listen.
Lord,
to me.
have mercy.
You said
It's
it.
a struggle. Like I've gotten it down to a science to really how to grasp their attention. But in the States, loud and proud, it just does not work here
At all.
It does not work here. Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow. Well,
But,
thank you for sharing that. I see some folks in the comments peeking. Can you please tell me where you're from and what city and state you're listening or tuning
Loud
in
and
from, and
proud.
what your
That's
name
so
is?
right.
Loud and proud, yes. Be loud and proud in those comments. Give us a hey or a hi and tell us where you're looking at for us from or listening from, okay? Okay, Verdell. Culture. Was it a culture shock for you, darling?
To some degree. I think Dr. Wanda touched on a lot of key points, and so she said a lot and articulated a lot. So she shared a lot, but from my perspective, coming by myself, here, and coming from my boyfriend, and being an independent person, and being free. When I'm in Vietnam or when I'm in Thailand, I can just drive and get and go and do whatever. But here, and I've always kind of felt like that. And like here, I don't feel as much of the ability to just roam freely. Like I need to, for safety reasons, just especially I live the way to get around is through the trotro or a taxi or a hire driver or something. I can't just boom and go. I can drive myself, but I don't always feel comfortable because of the roads. So I think that like that aspect of it made it a little bit more challenging for me. And then not being able to really speak the language and being able to speak up for myself. As Dr. Wanda mentioned, like this is a very much patriarchal culture. And I'm the type of person, like I'm a quiet, relatively quiet, but then I can pop off too sometimes, especially when I feel like someone is trying to take advantage of me. And because I, speak calmly and I'm a friendly person, some people make assumptions that I don't know, that they can being soft spoken or being like friendly sometimes is seen as you can be taken advantage of, or that you don't know something, or that you're ignorant. And I struggled a bit. I'd say my first year, I struggled with making friends with other women because the language, I know for sure the language barrier, but then also different placement of life. Like we can be the same age, but our experiences are so different. There are women who are my neighbors who've never been outside of Ghana. They're coming from the village. They don't have the same experiences. I can't talk about certain things with them. I can't complain about money issues because any money issue that I complain about may seem like such a high amount to them. And I have to recognize that like they're not in that same sphere as me. And so I have to be mindful to not like to watch who I confide in and how I share things. And there needs to be some level of filtering. And just, I think the biggest thing that was a cultural shock is the shaming of the society. Like I didn't realize how strong that is, like that sense of shaming people or judging people. And when you're in a small community, you feel it more. If you're in the capital and you're kind of does whatever, you don't really feel it. But when you're like in a smaller community where everyone knows everyone and people talk and they say different things, eventually that can start to affect you. And for me, just learning to find different ways of like release and different ways of like taking care of myself, my mental health, so that I won't let the small things bug me. Recognizing, just as Dr. Wanda said, there's some things I just won't do. I'm in the Eastern Volta region, and the Evoy people are in this region, and my husband is Evoy, and we also have Gaz and Crowo people. So many different, different things, and African spiritualism and things like that. I can respect cultural things, but certain things, when I get invited to, I'm not going to participate. And I've learned to be okay with saying no, rejecting invitations. Like if you think I'm offending you, I just don't feel comfortable. I don't, want to be in certain spheres, and I know my limits, and I'm okay with having those limits and maintaining that with being respectful to the same degree, but just recognizing that I can't eat with everybody. I can't eat everybody's food. I can't, I can't do that. And being okay with that, not trying to be like, when I was in Asia, like a lot of the foreigners, especially white foreigners, they want to like do everything like the locals. And some people would say that white people come to Ghana and they try this and they do that. And for me, I say, well, that's them. I just have a fine line between when I'm going to like the village and different things, the things I participate in and the things I don't. And so that whole cultural, like social pressure and the shaming and sometimes the disconnect, that part was very difficult to navigate through. And then a positive cultural challenge was greeting people. Why do I have to say good morning? Like every time you walk past somebody, like greeting them, but it's a good thing to speak to people and to acknowledge them. Like where I come
Do
from,
you
you walk
greet do
people
you
into
do you greet them in English or do you greet them in a local dialect?
both. Like sometimes if
Okay.
I'm walking past, I'll say flum, or if it's morning time, um, mache in Twi. But most of the people over here, if
Entry.
you're walking past, you can say something in Ewe, Indi, or you can say just good morning and they'll understand. So that was a positive thing because for me, I just like walk and my husband's like, you, it's kind of rude. I'm like, what? I'm walking to and from. Why do I have to talk talk to people? But I think I adjusted a little bit to be a little bit more, I guess, like welcoming if someone is passing me on the road to just say, good morning, good afternoon, etc. So that was a cultural challenge at first, but then I'm like, let me, it's just a little bit of a greeting, Verdell. It's not so difficult. Um, so that's something that now I have adapted to, and I greet people, and I don't walk around, with RIB on, but I smile
Oh boy.
a little bit more when
That's
walking past
great.
people because, yeah. So that's all.
That's a definite positive. Well, we have a new face in the room. I see Aisha out there. Aisha, tell us where you're
Hey,
from and what brings you to Africa.
I am from. Please forgive my lateness. The internet is horrific, so I'm a little agitated. But I am from Virginia. I live in Virginia, the DMV. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm in the DMV. I'm from the DMV. I'm actually was born in Washington D.C. and I am, of course, I'm in Ghana.
What
Uh,
part of Ghana are you in?
Accra.
Okay.
I'm in Accra. I kept calling it before I moved here. I kept calling it. How do we say? I can't even say it now. Accra, Accra.
Accra.
I
I've
kept
said
saying.
Accra for
They were
years.
like,
Yes.
they were like, "Are you trying to buy a car?" So, yeah, it's it. Yeah. So I was the type. I never thought, honestly, that I would ever go to Africa for any reason. Um, Probably, actually, when I was a little girl, I think I wanted to go because I dreamed about it. But I got older, and it's just stigma attached to certain things. So, I said, yeah. But started to really.
Okay. I think we lost her again. I think we lost her again.
I'm on another. Okay, because yeah. So
You're having some real difficulties
let
there.
me get off of this one. I'm gonna try this one now. Okay, I had to get on a different phone so it wouldn't cut off. But yeah, I my ancestors had reached, basically kind of changed my life, reached out to me, and then I had a desire to they were like, you need to come home. And so I originally was supposed to go to Nigeria, and my sorrow was like, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Nigeria by myself, and she was like, no, you're not. So I said I met someone else who had been to Ghana, and she was like, okay, cool, we can go to Ghana, but what happened?
Okay. I think her internet is just going to be a
I'm just
challenge.
okay. I apologize, guys. It's gonna go. If you're in Ghana.
Okay, while she comes back on air, let me go through some of these comments for the folks. All right. Yahya DC said, this lady knows how to make the soup. I think he is referring to Dr. Wanda's soup that you were describing earlier with the okra. He's from Ghana. That's my
Oh, with the
husband.
crab.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, he's Ghanaian. So he's like, "Oh, she know how to make the soup."
Yeah, I do.
And then Sharon Duncan says hi from Georgia.
Hi, Sharon.
Tamara Patterson, hello from Dallas, Texas.
Hello, Tamara.
Hi.
Amina Muhammad, who is also a soror, but Aisha has dropped her call, so hopefully she'll call back. Amina says, "Hey, I'm Amina and I'm watching from Michigan. Thanks for sharing your stories."
Hey, Amina. I'm from
Welcome.
Detroit.
Yazid Muhammad said, "Good evening."
What's
Good
up,
evening.
Yazid? Have fun.
Virginia in the house. That's what he says. And Edna Oliver Asair says, "Good evening." Well,
Good
thank you all
evening.
for joining us and tuning in. Yeah, this is a lot of content, so hopefully you are enjoying it. We lost looks like a couple of people along the way, so we're just going to keep moving and hopefully they'll join us in a bit here. So, for those of you who do, how is dating in Africa?
Mm.
In your host
Um,
country, not in Africa as the whole continent, but in your host country.
I would hope
Dr.
not.
Wanda, you can take over on that one because,
Okay, well, I'm much like okay, I'm married, but I'm separated. So I'm a year separated from my Ghanaian husband. Um, I'm sort of blessed that he carried me as far as he carried me in terms of the unit and whatever I was going to learn because I'm still living here. And for me, I don't date. I'm sort of now just married to the work and moving
Okay.
forward and raising my daughter. I still have an amazing relationship with my extended family. And of course, I extended the family because even though I married into a particular tribe, I have no allegiance to any tribe or any region. I simply am a servant leader, and wherever the work calls me, I go there. Um,
that's good.
but
What
what I
part
would
of
say
Ghana are you
is,
from, Dr. Wanda?
um,
I mean, what part of Ghana are you in, Dr. Wanda? I'm
I'm
sorry.
I'm in I'm in. I always pronounce it terrible, but I'm gonna do my best. Pone, and it's right outside Tema. So there's two. There's Kpone, and then there's
And phone.
Kpong. Yeah, that's going
That's where
toward
I'm
Boca.
at.
Yeah, that's where
Mm.
you at. So,
People think I say phone when I'm ordering delivery. I'm like, bring it to Pong, and they take it to Pone where you are.
oh my goodness. So, yeah, I'm there, and I'm happy. You know, my daughter spent like 3 years living in Tema Newtown with the extended family. Um, and that gave her one perspective and it helped her master the language and come to me and support me because she has mastery with the language and I don't. And I'm a little bit language fatigued from having been to the other African nations. Every African nation wants you to master their language, and they're all super proud of it too. So, me, I'm just tired now. I'm tired of even making my mouth form things and sounds, and I'm hoping I'll get a second win. But yeah, in terms of the unit, um, we had a different perspective. He believed he told me he was a proud Ghanaian that if he had something going on in this country, he would he wanted to be here, and that he also wanted to do some stuff in his village. So that fit within what I was interested in a relationship. Okay, I'm in a season where you know. Yeah, sex is relative. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I'm not really brackled and pulled by those types of things. I'm a professional, so it's a lot of you already have a lot of accomplishment. I have a house, I have a car, I have degrees. So you can't dazzle me with that. It's like you would really have to have something that in terms of going forward would attach my soul. And so yeah, I love grassroots and yeah, let's work in the village and let's build a business. So I came here for that. Well, one negative with dating here is that there's always the potential that they want to leave out, and they will wait you out. And I'm talking about they have a weight game like no other in terms of waiting you out to see if you will take them abroad. And so, and there's always the potential that yes, they like you, but they don't necessarily love you because they want to go. They have a village wife or somebody in the back that they, have some sort of allegiance to, whether it's through because of culture. The culture requires them to marry and have children, or because that was a love that they just had. So in my case, yeah, he coveted the fact that at the core of it, he wanted to go. And I was always very open that I have a no green card policy. I don't care who you are. As a middle-aged woman, smashed between an elder, which is my mother, and my daughter, I will not make the financial investment into any man. Now, if you have your own money, because you're looking at between, $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the attorney and processing fee, whatever route you take. Okay, if you have your own money, then you can do that. But in my rational thinking, I just don't believe that the average man sits around and says, "Oh, I just can't wait till I meet me a 50-year-old woman. I just want her." I think the average man kind of be dreaming about a 20-something-year-old. That's just my thought. So I don't want to sponsor that. I don't want to invest that type of money to get you to the other end for you to tell me the lady across the street is cute. But if you pay for it yourself, you got every right. You understand? If she cute, she cute. What can I say?
Hello.
Then the other issue is, who am I committed to? My commitment, if I'm coming back to retrieve my ancestral birthright, which is what I believe this is for me, and part of my gift to the motherland is to say, okay, I'm a long lost child, so I'm giving back to my mother. So it's to serve the motherland. I have to consider this baby. And my daughter is being raised in Africa, essentially. She spent 3 years being raised here. So, and if something was to happen to me, who's going to see about her? Where should the money go? Where should the deep investment go? Well, I'm no different than them. The same way they value heritage and legacy, I value heritage and legacy of the child that came through my womb. So, no, I won't do that. And so that was a clash, and it was a irreparable clash. Do you understand? But for me, there was no, it brought on other, there's other, layers to this, but that's not important. What's important is that was the final dividing line, that we could not agree on that. And that each month, each week, it got exposed because I stayed. Okay, the second thing is the agreement was a business. I decided to stay because we were doing a juice business. Okay, this again with dating. So you have to be clear. Why are we coming together? Under what terms are we coming together? What do we plan on doing together? Because as a Western woman, you're always out muscling them financially. And you do it because our poverty line is at 25,000. And there you can live well in Africa at 10, even at 6,000, depending on where you land and how you manage it. Okay. So you already, even our poverty is above it. Okay. So then we have to have some sort of agreement on what we're doing in coupleship. We're building this juice business. Well, he was building it and not building it. Do you understand? I gave him everything he needed, the bank account, the money for the blenders, the money for the juice. We're doing all that. Okay, so then I stayed. I came and I stayed, and I'm going to rush this along. Okay, when you're sending money back, and we were married. We came and was married. You sending money back. Whatever someone is telling you, you're going off of what they tell you. You're going off of pictures. You're going off of quick videos. Well, when you come, now you boots on the ground. You can see it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a white woman. I'm Black. I'm from Detroit and Chicagoland. So if you don't know nothing coming out the Midwest, you know the hustle. And you know when somebody on their grind. And it's like, no, what you're doing is a hobby. You make juice, you don't make juice. You got it someplace, you don't got it someplace. The cock crows at about 4 or 5, you still in bed, like you're not serious. So I divested from it. Well, that put tension because the traditional African woman puts up with a lot. She would have still put up with that. With me, I'm like, look, you can do what you want to with the juice, but I'm about to start this other piece because I still have to feed, and I'm not leaving because you're not my center. You're not. I already had a plan for myself. I'm already strategic. You're not running me off. So that's the other thing in the dating, that you have to be careful. That, I mean, all men want us to do something for them. Okay. But it can be quid pro quo. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Or it can become parasitic. Well, I'm 56 years old. I'm not carrying no kind of man on my back. I can be your vertebrae. We can stand side to side in partnership. Those concepts aren't necessarily clear dating over here. It's not clear. And I grew up with the peanut man, the watermelon man, famous Amos selling cookies on the bike. Like, I know the hustle. Come on, Master P. He's been selling CDs on his trunk. You ain't hustling. You're not. And it has nothing to do with Ghana, this is hard, our corrupt leaders. No, you're not hustling, because the women in these countries grind. They grind. So no, I'm not going for it. So that also was a issue in terms of coupleship. For me, I've made peace because, again, he was not my center. I had a plan for myself, why I was on the continent, and a way to make the things happen for myself. So I would say that with dating, you have to be careful that you're just not an ATM and that you're just not a green card.
Good advice. Good advice. Let me pop back into these comments real quick. Yasid said, "Hey, Wandy Stu, long time. I guess that's a friend of yours."
I know him. When I first became interested in Africa, in coming to Ghana specifically, I was able to talk to him and reach out to him.
That's
Wanted
my
to go to his restaurant. Is that your brother? I still haven't been to his restaurant, but I hope to go.
Yes, because then he said Sister Verdell doing big things in West Africa.
Trying to get to your level, boss.
Those that are dating real reparation consulate officers, Ghana background checks. That is an investigation service. That is a professional and discreet schedule of consultation. We can help you make an informed decision. Okay. All right. Well, let me see who out here dating. Zenobia, what's dating like in Togo? You doing it?
Dating is, I took a page from the local book. When she's talking about Mr. Green Card, I dated Mr. Green Card when I first got here. Mr. Green Card was perfect for those first couple months. He was wonderful. Fine as frog hair, no kids, just the perfect eligible black bachelor. But he was Mr. Green Card. He was looking to make his way to the States, and I was looking to get away from the States. So things didn't quite work out, but he did kind of sort of teach me the game as far as how polygamy works here. West African men,
you know what?
are always
You even put that as a header. But go ahead, tell us about this polygamy.
well, no. Polygamy is openly practiced here. Absolutely. And from what I've observed, it's as many partners as you can afford. So it's kind of an unspoken thing here. Men will have multiple wives, and a lot of times this doesn't happen with if you are a man with multiple wives, you have to be able to afford them. So a lot of those relationships, from what I observed, is she gives him a baby and he somehow gives her some kind of business. That's what I've observed from, just the polygamy that I've seen. That also, those are the situations that I see that are more successful. And usually they look happy. On the flip side of that, wealthy women also, it's not an open thing, but they have lovers as well. They may have a husband.
Polyandry.
They may have a husband, but they have a friend in village, especially if their husband travels a lot. I took a
Really?
page out of that book, and it's something that they openly discuss here. I dabbled in polyamory in the States quite a bit. When I got here, oh, well, so I am a member of the LGBTQ team. The B in there, that's for me. But homophobia is real here, very, very real. And there's violence against homosexuals.
I think on the
Um,
continent, all over the continent, not just Togo,
well,
correct?
Togo acts a little differently.
Mm,
So Togo is one of the poorest countries in the world, and
mm.
it's evident. They don't have a police force or a criminal justice system to actually persecute homosexuals here. So there are a lot of people from neighboring countries that have been caught up in some stuff that come to Togo because there's essentially no prosecution. So we actually have a very large expat gay community here that's kind of just like either hiding out or hanging out or living their best life.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Wow. I would have
it exists.
never.
It
I would have
exists in
never.
all of West Africa.
I
But
would
this
have.
is kind of like, like a safe haven, essentially. We even had it not so much post-COVID, but pre-COVID, one of the largest street bars in town was like clearly an open homosexual hangout. Like they would be out in their colors, as we say. So
Mm,
in that aspect though, I do date women here all the
okay.
time. But I
Now,
have a cover story.
are they other expats or are they local women from Togo?
I date Togolese women. I date expat women. There are a lot of Nigerian women in all of West Africa that I've observed that are, they're either bi, or they're actual lesbians. But more often than not, women here have some kind of, if they are lesbian or bisexual, they have a man somewhere that is their boyfriend or husband or whatever. He's not involved in the life that they live, in their, in their sex life otherwise. And I took
Wow.
a page out of that book too. I have a guy that I live with. We're very close friends. He knows that I'm gay, but to everyone around us, they think that we are, an active couple.
Wow.
So it is what it is. I do have a girl that I'm seeing here. And like I don't date people who have intentions of expatriating, at least with my help. If they want to go somewhere, to the States or something, they can go on their own. But
Now
it's not an
it's
option
called
with me.
immigration. No, it's the immigrant. It's not expatriating for them. Come on, sis. It's immigrant. They're immigrants. That's what they want us to classify them as. It's not my definition,
So
but you know how they do us.
for here in Togo, if you leave Nigeria to come to Togo, you're an
Mhm.
expat. You're moving
Okay.
from a
No,
developed
I'm
nation. If you come from
okay.
if you
If
come
you
from Accra, you're an expat in Togo, because Togo is, compared to Ghana, Togo is definitely the third world.
okay.
So yeah, they're expatriates. They are definitely
Okay.
expatriates. They are not
Okay.
immigrants.
Oh, but if they come here, they would be
Maybe,
right. If they came
yeah.
here, they would be.
If they got to the States, yeah, they
Yeah. Okay.
you know how we act about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm here if you can hear me.
I hear you. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
I
Hold on.
Hey,
No hold on one second. Zenobia was in the middle of a sentence. Go ahead.
No,
Keep going,
she can go
Zenobia.
ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Aisha. You there?
hi. Yes, I apologize. The internet is very frustrating. I've never seen. Yeah. So let me go back to where I was. And then I don't know where we're talking about now, but so I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I really didn't have any interest in Africa. I didn't really, know that much about it. But nevertheless, when about 7 or 8 years ago, I dreamed about my ancestors, and they have been kind of guiding my life since then. And they basically were imploring me to go back to Africa. And I was supposed to go to Nigeria. I wanted to go to Nigeria, and I was gonna go. I wanted to go by myself, but my sorrow was like, no, you're not going to Nigeria by yourself. And so I was gonna go to Ghana. I met another person who had been to Ghana, and we were gonna go together. But in 2021, I wound up getting COVID-19, and once I got the COVID, I literally almost.
I think we may have lost her again. Let me see.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
not sure what
maybe
country she's in, but it's one with spotty internet.
she is in Ghana.
He's in Ghana.
Oh,
Yeah,
everybody's in Ghana.
She's in Ghana.
I'm
While
coming to
she's
Toast.
you
Well,
back?
come on over. We having a good time
So
over here. Stuff's like half the price it
know.
is over in Ghana.
I
And our
heard this.
food is better.
and I'm someplace with stable internet. So anyway, in 2021, I almost died of COVID. So I definitely wasn't able to come to Africa. But so that's kind of been my journey to Ghana.
Now, we have already went through the cultural differences with the other ladies, but since you're right on par here, we were talking about dating in Ghana. Have you had any experience dating there? Look at that face.
Well, I actually met Lord through a friend about 6 months ago, and not a friend, an associate, and we talked. We talked on WhatsApp since we've been talking on WhatsApp since January, and I was very leery because I've heard so many horror stories, and so I talked to Dr. Wanda a lot. I think I blocked him a couple of times. And Dr. Wanda would, but don't block him. Because I'm real, I'm pretty hardcore. And I'm definitely not gonna let anybody, scam me out of my money. So we kind of got through that. It's been some, the language barrier is it's funny. I'm very happy with him. So I'll just say, don't give up on the dating. There are some good Ghanaian men, and there's some not so good Ghanaian men. But I'm gonna be honest with you. My ex scammed me, and he was a straight Negro from Maryland.
Whoa.
So,
well, damn.
I'm just saying. So,
Well, damn.
So
It's not
I
just
feel like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I got my money back, but still, he did, yeah. So I think it's been they're a lot more traditional. As an American woman, you're not going to come over here and talk to them. We talk to the American men in America, Black men, but it's just they have a whole different. Women have different roles. They're not as vocal. They're more subservient. And
Gotcha.
Lord is a minister, a pastor. So yeah, so that's also has its own nuances to it.
Okay.
So
That's right.
I think that if you y'all can say hi to Lori because she's
Hello.
Hello, Lord. How are you?
How you
It's
doing?
okay.
She's speaking very kindly of you.
I'm good.
Good.
he got on my nerves a little bit today, but still. Um,
Don't
but
they
yeah,
all?
I think it can work out. Yeah, you just I know. Yeah. Um, it's just about understanding and respecting each other's differences. You know, I don't see it any different than anything else. I always compare and contrast. So that's just how I think about kids. Like what does he bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? I do the same.
Right.
If I'm in
Right.
America, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And to be honest with you, there are a lot of Black women in America holding out for an Black American man, and they just not they're not feeling it. It's a lot of you got the passport bros, you got all this other crazy stuff. So I feel like as Black women, we need to diversify and come to the motherland. It's
That's a good
38
point.
million Ghanaians. I mean, so you don't have to be single.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I've
It's not.
encountered that dilemma as well, so I understand.
I wanted to do just a
So,
quick comment. Go
well,
ahead.
I met everyone in his family. I met his mom. I met everybody. I met his children, his sisters, his brothers. They have been very kind. They all have businesses. Lord was in a accident in October, which kind of one thing about Ghana, God speak for Ghana, if you cannot pay for your medical expenses, they will let you die.
Okay, hold that thought because we're gonna get to the health. I have a question about the healthcare there shortly. Verdell, you said you had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment.
Comment.
Yes, about everything that was said. It's all really good. I think that the experiences have been shared, and especially on the part of like culturally, like the expectations of the woman and the wife and Ghanaian culture. It's important not to lump all African culture like together while there are similarities. Like Ghanaian
Absolutely.
like culture will be different than other sets. And so sometimes you talk about dating an African, or in my case, being married to an African, I have to be very specific, like a Ghanaian.
Yes.
And my husband isn't necessarily traditional per se. And so
Right.
how our marriage is, like, I'm very mindful of like some conversations that I have with people when they try to like, so the Ghanaians are like this, they're like this. And I think to myself, like, my husband is not like that. While there are some cultural things that like, yes, because it's part of the culture. Like women here are like trained to be wives, and where I come from, women, we're gonna make our money. Like you don't need a man. I feel like American culture
Please.
doesn't raise a Black woman to be compatible to even be with another Black man. We're raised to like, take care of ourselves. And I had both of my parents in my home. Like I didn't grow up in a single parent home. I have both, but I was still kind of taught to be strong, like to be
Right.
independent. Like you don't need a man for this. Make your own money, have your own money, And while that became a priority, young girls here are going to be taught a little bit differently. Like yes, get an education, that becomes important, but you also need to know how to cook and clean. And I feel like at least for my husband, he's articulated that sometimes he feels like in American culture now, like it's not a priority for young women to know how to cook or clean, and because many don't. I'm a millennial. I'm not going to lie. So because I've been traveling, I've had house help. I have people cooking for me doing these different things. I don't have to clean. Let me focus on making money and somebody else do it. But now with like being here, it's just my husband and I. Neither of us have ever been married. We're each other's first of everything. So we're, figuring this all together. There is no house help. We have to both share chores. We have to both navigate through how to have our married life and not have too many voices chiming in on like,
Right.
because there'll be people in this ear, American Black women are like this, and people in my ear, Ghanaian men are like this. And it becomes super important to, throw out you take the bones or whatever, you take everything with a grain of salt. And at the end of the day, study your partner, become their friend, get to know them so that you can be able to figure out the direction. Be honest about what each person has to come to the table, what they come to the table with. My circumstances of knowing my African man is a lot different. We met online when we were both in high school, and we didn't meet 10 years until 10 years later after meeting
Wow.
from high school. And so it's a little bit of a story. And so like
Right.
I take that into account, and then our experiences here, but then also how people assume our relationships to be, because I say, oh, we met online, when we were 17, and then 10 years later we started dating, and then 3 years later we got married. People have all these different assumptions. He probably got a this and that, or she's like this, like that, and it becomes super like pertinent to not sabotage your own relationship or your own dating experiences because of the
Right.
fears of the different things that other people have gone through. Take that, be wise. Don't be, like that ain't gonna happen to me. Don't be so prideful, but also don't be what's the word? Where you're so like you're watching, you're looking for every little thing,
Yes.
oh, you scamming,
Yes.
you asked me for one city, I knew you want nothing, and you just snap off. So just be mindful of making sure you are in a position emotionally, healed before you try to pursue something, and be open. And if you're not, walk away. Don't waste his time. They shouldn't waste your time. Yeah, that's all I wanted to comment on and say.
I want to tag on her
Absolutely.
and
Okay.
say this: the American Black woman gets a bum rap for, and I have to say this because I am one, for having the opportunity to go to school, for being a professional woman, oftentimes getting that mommy tax, meaning that you have family, but you also have children, but then you pay for daycare, like the American culture adjusted where we stepped into those roles. It wasn't like, Black women were screaming, I don't want to be home with my children and my husband and do things. It's just the world changed and we had to leave that household. Um, but I think the other thing is that while I admire the African woman for being an amazing entrepreneur and also being very much trained to be a wife, I celebrate the Black woman for being able to stand next to her man and raise him up. In fact, we've done it now to a fault. Now it just injures us. It's not even that whole sort of like Florida and James Evans. The man is underemployed, and
That struggle
you're
love.
sticking by. Yeah, that struggle love. And
That
so
struggle love.
yeah, like that's part of the reason that African men are also looking at us, because we come with financial muscle, and sometimes people want financial muscle. Like there is something to being a woman and having multiple children, constantly struggling, not being able to take care of the children that you have. Um, you know, having a job where you can only, the glass ceiling comes fast. And then there is a whole layer of unschooled, very professional people that active, in what they do with their skill that they're skilled at, basket weaving, making shea butter, working at market, but they're unschooled. They're unschooled. There is a limited amount of sort of ability to expand even something that they do so brilliantly. They don't have a way to do that, and they're not in a partnership where they can do that. So yeah, sometimes I even have to, correct African, men, like, no, don't beat us up for some of our assertiveness, our aggressive ways. We had a country that collapsed on us, after the civil rights movement, after they assassinated the leaders. They left the hood to the pimps, the pushers, the hustlers, the drug dealers. And it was just a fluke that girls got to go to school and do something, because my mother made it to 12th grade, my father made it to 6th. And he was able to work for the auto plant and make an okay salary for a while. And in her, she was a domestic. So, but with all of that, they were raising children, and there was never enough. So do you get what I'm saying? Like,
I absolutely get
I
what
think
you're saying.
sometimes they're not understanding that, like, no, we don't take pride in the fact that we have three, we're paying for 3 childcare, 3 children to be in childcare, or that, we're trying to work, go to school, plus take, that's not that's part of the reason why this age group is coming to the continent. We're exhausted. We have 401ks, we have, tax sheltered annuities, we have pensions, and we have literally worked ourselves to the ground. We have put kids through school. We've helped, husbands and boyfriends launch businesses. We have taken care, because men don't take care of generally men don't take care of the parents. It's that woman that ends up taking care of the elderly parent. She's here, she's there. And I'm going to tell you what woman it is. It's that Black woman. That Black woman has carried every single person on her back. So yes, she's irritated. Yes, she's protective of whatever resources she's managed to garner, because we ain't Rockefellers. We're not the daughters of the Shrivers. Like, we have to stand places and do jobs and work hours that are completely unreasonable to health. And I say the last thing, part of the reason I came here is because I was in the perfect bracket for a heart attack. You understand? You're a Black female, your weight is too high, like you look the part, but those numbers from that US economy was tearing up my health. And when I look back, even from having been out of public education, I went on to collegiate level. But when I go back to high school, when I was teaching high school in 2008, I would say 2/3 of those people are deceased. If it wasn't stroke, it was heart attack. What wasn't heart attack was cancer. Yes. And all of that these were all professionals trying to make a living, managing homes, sending children, helping, you understand? Yes. And so, yeah, they've criminalized us. Oh, you don't make biscuits in the morning, and you're not home to walk your kids to school. Yeah, because that's the grind. That's how it works. Right. That's how it works.
I gotcha. Let me jump back into these comments real quick, and then we're gonna push forward. So S. Davis says, I practice a traditional African traditional religion, which is frowned upon, like anything associated with Africa in the United States. Absolutely.
I also practice African religion, Lakumi, which is Cuban, but its derivative is Ifa. And so I don't care if it's frowned on or not. I do ancestor veneration. I do readings. I do readings. My partner does numerology. So we definitely believe in African traditional practices.
Okay.
I want to chime in right there. I'm Geechee. My people are from the South.
North Carolina. Okay.
South Carolina.
Okay.
South and North, actually. I'm Geechee, and when I got here, I realized that we have been practicing some of the fetish. I call it the fetish because that's what it's called here, la fetiche. We've been practicing the fetish my whole life. The way we, you know how you blow on dice before you shoot dice? Here they blow on the bones for luck. It's part of the fetish. You know how you give you pour some out for your dead homies? Mm-hmm. Here they give, when you drink, when you have an alcoholic beverage, you give some to the ancestors.
Right, so libation, right?
Right. We've been practicing parts of the fetish our whole lives. We just didn't know that's what they came from.
Okay. I think a lot of African American, like, the hood things, like
my family is also going to be.
Hey.
It all stems from Africa, most of it anyway. So
yeah, my grandfather in our family is also Gullah Geechee. And so my great grandmother was it would be called hoodoo. She was the folk doctor, which is hoodoo. And all of that stuff stems from the African diaspora.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't actively dabble in it because there's a lot of it I don't understand. But I'm not afraid when I encounter. Actually, I live 2 doors down from an active center, so I can't be afraid of it. You know what I mean? I live right next to it.
Right.
But it's also, it was put into my face before I knew what I was looking at, and when I saw it up front, I saw a lot of the things that had just been happening in practice in my life just with no explanation. Like why are we pouring liquor out for dead people? You know what I mean? Like that made no sense to me. And when I got here and we gave it to the ancestors, it made a lot more sense.
It makes a lot more sense. Absolutely. So S. Davis also said, "Are the men you've encountered openly to women who practice traditional African religion? Are they
Yes.
okay with it there? They
I
are.
can't. I can't speak for all men in Ghana because I know, to me, Lord is a minister, but he also does ancestral veneration. He talks to the ancestors. He gives offerings to the ancestors. He does numerology. You know, all of the things that. But he also believes it. You know, he also says he's a Christian because it comes from the Christian part comes from the colonizers, but the tradition that he was taught by his grandfather comes from the indigenous religion that was already not religion practice that was already here. So when I came with my Yamoja, and I came with all of my because I'm I'm getting initiated into Lakumi. He embraced it because he knew a lot of the things that I was Yamoja, Mama Wata, Oshun, Obatala, Shango. These are Elegua. These are all African deities, and so he hasn't had any issues. Matter of fact, I have my necklace. I have my I wear this all the time, and he told me it's with the shells, and he said it's spiritual. The necklace is spiritual within itself. So no, because a lot of the I'm gonna say a lot, but people here kind of mix the two like they do with hoodoo. Hoodoo has a Christian element, but it also has an African. You know, the just different things. Remember that they couldn't worship when the slave people came to America. They couldn't worship like they wanted to, so they hid behind, you know, Saint Mary, Saint Peter, and all of these different things to camouflage the real spiritual deity that they practiced. But what happened was they forgot that they forgot. And so a lot of those spiritual practices are still being utilized, but just not, they just don't know that that's what that is.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
agree with that.
I agree. Sarah Alvina Anthony says, "Hey y'all, I'm in Gambia, but want to know how y'all are." Sarah, if you're still out there looking and listening, are you an expat or are you a Gambian woman? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Gambian woman, or are you an expat? S. Davis says, "I plan on moving to Sierra Leone, which is my mother's home." Oh, that's beautiful. I want to come visit. Edna Oliver Acer says, "I'm in Ghana too. Hi, everyone. Peace and blessings." Same from Philly. Didn't date 5 years. Oh, we have a lot of folks in the comments here. Hold on. Let me catch up. Exactly. S. Davis says, "Exactly. We are taught in America to fear men from Africa. However, we get scammed in America, just like you get scammed in Europe or any other place in the world. Black Indians tired of people saying the N-word on our land. We don't want to have to kill y'all." Okay. I don't know what that meant. I don't know who that
Yeah,
is,
some
but
more comments, and I don't know. Like, I'm like, what is?
We're getting comments from all over YouTube and Facebook. It's sad the Europeanization set the tone for how we see each other, Black Africans. We will protect our people from your ghetto ways. Wow. Okay, I'm going to skip over his comments.
Yes, please, Susan.
Yes, exactly. Conversation began with conversations and go back to strong Black men who are men. Chivalry is not dead. There are West African exposed African men who, Sarah said that. in general, you don't share your home life with friends. That's true. You have to humble your mindset for sure. Okay, we're a little behind on the comments, so they're out of context. I'll read this last one. Our black men are castrated and the women are raped for practicing African spirituality. That's why we have to make our spirit equitable to Catholicism. Okay. All right.
I
So
just
moving-
want to, can I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
All of y'all in Ghana, have any of you been to the museum in Kumasi?
It's reopened. No, that's
No.
the one in Accra. I'm sorry.
That's the National
I haven't
Museum.
been.
The
Okay.
National Museum in Accra. That's nice. But there's a museum in Kumasi. There's the palace and there's a museum. In the palace, when you take the tour, they explain to you how Christianity was introduced to Ghana. And it is a very eye-opening moment where it very much like it had me questioning all types of spirituality. But the museums in Kumasi have one of the most complete sets outside of Porto Novo and Benin of like their own personal history with the slave trade that I've seen in Africa. Like Ghana, Kumasi in Ghana, the Ashanti do a fabulous job of explaining who they are and how they came to be what they are now in relation to colonization and the slave trade. Just wanted to put that out there.
Wow. Okay.
Check it out.
I have to check it out because I'll be going, hopefully, God willing, be going to Kumasi on my next trip to Ghana, which hopefully will occur the end of August. Okay. So the cost of living, how y'all making out there financially as opposed to being in the United States? You get more for your money or things more expensive?
All I'm
I'm
gonna
rich.
say is,
Somebody said they're rich.
don't come here. Don't come here thinking, I had to learn. Yeah, I make decent money in the United States, but I mean their stuff is very, very expensive. So, we went to some store and like a bar of soap was like 1,900 CDs. I mean, okay, yeah, that's $1.90, but for us, but for them, I mean, that's expensive, and it can get expensive for you as well if you keep buying stuff that's, 1,500. That's $15, but it's gonna add up. I've been here. I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks, so today I've been here a month. So I actually stayed a little bit longer, but I had a situation where I bought a cell phone and I thought the cell phone was $140, and I went and bought it, and Lori kept saying, "No, it's $14,000." I was like, and I don't know what I was doing, and I went and bought it. That thing was $1,400, and we couldn't take it back. So that did a lot for my little emergency, funds or whatever. But I think money can go really fast. I think we kind of get confused. Yeah, we get kind of confused that, oh yeah, it's $11. Well, but still, the dollars add up to the budget correctly.
Aisha, you got to stop thinking in dollars, baby. You got to completely stop thinking in dollars and readjust yourself to whatever the currency is, because that's going to beat your ass forever. You have to completely abandon the idea of dollars and don't compare things to dollars because it's not going to make sense.
If they're talking about, this is 25 cities,
and it's,
I understand now. I didn't understand. Well, Dr. Wanda had tried.
Well, I believe in living like the locals, and I make sure that I get representation for the locals. Now, it's been difficult in terms of what gets injured is your ego, because you're used to popping into Walgreens or CVS. You shop on your own. You can go out and use your little credit card and shop, and you can do that here. but the accent guarantees that the price rises. And it's going to rise quite a bit. It's not like it's 1 or 2%. It's going to rise. So, I've controlled costs because one, I recognize I need the support, and I'll allow others to shop for me. Oftentimes, every now and then, if I'm in a rush, I go ahead and take the hit. But I've been living in Palm now. I'm into the 4th year, so they know me, so they're over it. You understand? But it's taken a while for them to accept, like, doctor lives here, that's our doctor, to let me in to a certain degree. So now they'll even dash me things. Now they'll even hold things and add an extra. But at the beginning, the whole goal was to cheat me. Now, my estranged husband speaks several languages, so he could pick up them what they were saying. We hate when they come with them to the market. They spoil the market. Yeah, because the intention is to cheat. And he would say, "No, that's my wife. Don't do that." But also, I started doing good cop, bad cop. I would walk, look at stuff, and then I would touch it and walk off. And then whoever's with me would know, go back and buy that for me. And they would barter them down because this is a bartering nation, and I'm not used to that, and I don't actually like it. But if you don't get trained in doing it, you're going to constantly lose money because it seems like 10 CDs here, 5 CDs there is nothing. But when you go through your week and you see, like, wow, I lost a lot of money. That's one. Two, if you build a relationship with them, they tell you the shortcut. They tell you the cheaper way to do things. They tell you, which market is better. You understand? And you have to be open to doing that. And then you save money. But I don't think that dollar game is good coming here, even though they're in Ghana, they're doing it in some parts of the country where they're selling things in dollars, but it's actually illegal. They're not supposed to sell in dollars. They're supposed to sell in CDs. But we have to do our due diligence and learn the currency. You have to learn what is it compared to, how do you come up with $5? How many CDs is that? When is the dollar strengthening? When is it weakening? Right. When should you stand there literally like a mummy? Do you understand? Don't say nothing, because I've been in the middle of a cab and just leaning over, chit-chatting a little. The cab wanted to raise the price.
Well, of course, I've experienced it.
Yeah, they want to raise the price, and the person advocating for me, that's just it. They'll argue them nope, da 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 da. But had I been by myself, I'd have been stuck with that. So I've accepted that that's how it is. As loved as I am in the community that I live, and I feel very safe and protected. I don't worry about being cheated. I do bless them and give extra and tip. I understand when I go out of this community, it starts all the way back over again.
Yeah.
So you're never past it. It's always going to be there because they know you're not a continental African. They know you're an outsider. They know you're a mutt, a mestiza, like you still don't fit. And so the goal is to still get something from you, because if you come from the West, just by default, the fact that you could afford that plane ticket, you are rich.
Yeah.
And it's
Zenobia says she rich.
I am.
Well, she knows.
No. Here I actually am. Here I don't have any of the problems that my problems I can solve them all here. I can solve every problem I have here. My rent here, because you guys are in Ghana, and the cost of living in Ghana is like 4 or 5 times what the cost of living is here. I have my apartment, for example. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment with a kitchen. It's brand new construction. It's pretty nice. It's in a very nice section of town where the restaurants and the bars are. My neighbors have money. Everybody gets up and goes to work every day. My rent here is about $85 US. My rent is very high for Togolese standards.
That's per month?
Yes, that's per month.
And that's high.
That's very high for Togolese standards. For what I'm living in, that's very high for Togolese standards.
$85 for the entire month.
By comparison, I have a cabin in the mountains, is where I spend most of my time. I'm actually in my city apartment now. I have a cabin in the mountains where I spend most of my time. It's 2 rooms, a bathroom. I have a garage. I have an open courtyard. I have an outdoor kitchen. It's like kind of in a porch area. That house, the rent there is $24 a month.
You ballin', G.
Right. So in this
You
country,
ballin'.
I lived the life of a wealthier woman. A year ago, I got a chest infection. I had to go to the hospital. I had to get x-rays. I had to get medication. I saw a doctor. I was admitted. They gave me fluids. All of this cost $100, and I paid for it out of pocket. That's it.
Wow.
To catch a cab here from one side of town to the other, we talking 30, 40 minutes, $5.
I just can't.
But I also, and we have apps like Uber, so it's not like, if you just catch because we do moto taxis here, if you just catch a moto taxi on the street, you have to know where you're going and discute the price. But we have apps that combat that, you know what I mean? We have actual counters on the cabs now. When I got to this country, they didn't have that, but now they do. Now it's an Uber-like system called GoZem that you can call a cab right to your house. Transport, travel, that's all something that we discute, we discuss the price. But I work in agriculture, so I know how much food items cost, you know what I mean? So when people try and jip me on food items right off the bat, I'm like, you bullshit me. We right in the middle of mango season. Ain't no way these mangoes should be $2 or 500 francs instead of 200 francs. So on those things, I have the prices right.
Now, do you pay your rent annually, like one time lump sum for the year, or is it month to month?
So in this apartment, my security deposit was 6 months, but I pay monthly. In my cabin in the mountains, I pay yearly. I would pay that mug for 5 years if they would let me.
You are balling out.
How come you haven't bought land? How come you haven't bought?
I do have land. I do have land. I have 6 acres.
You just haven't built yet.
I'm not building on it. It's a farm. My farm is my farm. My farm is dead in the middle of the jungle, and it's full of trees. Again, I work in agriculture, so my farm is my farm, and it's about a half an hour away from my house in the mountains.
I got you.
I have a house in the city because I do business in the city.
Makes sense.
So it's cheaper for me to have an apartment here than it is to pay for
go back and forth
hotels or anything like that.
And just for comparison, how much were you putting out in rent or mortgage when you were in the States?
In Delaware, okay, so my rent for both apartments here for the year is as much as 1 month in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely ridiculous.
So
What about
that's
y'all?
part of how I can afford to go back to the States,
easily.
That is
and
phenomenal.
Food wise. So in the city, if I order out all day long, because I've ordered, we have a Uber Eats kind of system here. I ordered out. It cost me $1,200 safe. $1,200 safe is $2.
It's crazy because I just ordered DoorDash yesterday for dinner. I spent $40 for just me.
Right. It was $2, and I got chicken and fries, delivered to my door.
Absolutely phenomenal.
So the cost of living here, I go to Ghana on vacation, but I can only afford Ghana on vacation because Ghana is so much, and the exchange rate, it has gone up so much. When I first went to Ghana, it was 4 cedis to $1. Now it's almost 11 cedis to $1.
Yeah.
Now that's
11.3.
not really be balling in Ghana. But the price of things, because they
has
import
gone up.
It didn't just double. Sometimes it tripled and quadrupled.
Mm-hmm.
The price of things in Ghana is really, really expensive to what we're paying here. Even for simple things like plantains, corn,
tomatoes.
That kind of stuff.
Very high. Yeah.
Okay, so very quickly, Verdell and Dr. Wanda, how much y'all paying?
Well, my husband he pays the bills. He was paying bills before I got here. He has to maintain that.
That's I know that's right.
3 snaps in Z formation.
But I can't pretend like he's just gonna cover everything. So I moved into his space, and we live in like a company accommodation. So he handles all that. I don't know how much that is,
and that's
but
good.
we
You don't need to know.
We grow like plantain. We have like a small little farm. We got plantain, bananas, consume, and that helps with reducing food costs. And then the cost of fuel, we drive, a car. So the cost of fuel with that, internet. So it's not so much. But when I was living in Vietnam, I had a service apartment that included like cleaning service and everything. And I think that I'd be paying less. Like my service apartment in Vietnam was like $400. 2-bedroom, like condo with cleaning service. You can't get that in Ghana. You can't get that in Accra because of
I think
like
I might have to move to
air
Togo.
conditioning and So yeah, it's
I will
not
say,
so bad.
I live without a few luxuries. Not that I can't have them. It's just that I don't have them. I don't have refrigeration or air conditioning. Sounds crazy. I mean, I'm sweating right now, but that's because I got malaria. But I have ceiling fans. They work. They're fine.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And I don't use refrigeration because I buy my food freshly here.
That's the way to do it.
My fruit and vegetables I buy daily. Meat, even if you have a refrigerator, it's not going to last more than 24 hours. You have to freeze it.
I know. Yeah, they don't have
So,
no GMOs and all of that.
And I like it. I like it like that.
Right.
It's much better.
So, we buy our meat fresh daily. I buy my fruits and vegetables daily if I don't harvest them myself. Because, at my house, I have maybe 40 or 50 trees. Again, work in agriculture. I have coconuts, I have mangoes, I have papaya, I have moringa trees where we eat the leaves. I grow collard greens.
Wow.
Right. I grow greens.
I can't wait. I'm going to visit her in August when I come to Ghana. So I am going to be. I'm going to be eating. I'm going to be eating all that good stuff.
Y'all are all more than welcome to come up to my mountain house and enjoy all the fruits of my labor. They're literal fruits. But like the cost of living here is, I'd say it's a quarter of what it is in Accra. And it's like maybe a tenth of what it is in the US.
And
there are
that's
other
why
things that are more
that's why I
expensive.
stay out of Accra. That's why I don't live in Accra. Like the first thing,
Dr. Wanda,
everything
how much
that you described.
Yeah.
If you stay out of Accra, just coming out of there, you'll save because there's still places in Ghana that aren't that expensive. I'm much like Zenobia. I have two living spaces. So I have this one bedroom that was the original bedroom, the apartment that my husband got, and I did, like Verdell did. I just moved into space, and you live to the level of however they're living, because you're coming here, you don't know no better. You don't. So if they don't have a refrigerator like we didn't, and they using a coal pot or whatever methods they use, then you go along with that until you figure it out. And then you go, oh, I could buy a hot water heater so that in rainy season, I'm not cold as hell taking a shower. Oh, we could actually get a water pump and you don't have to tote water in this nice apartment. Oh, like you have to figure some of that because if they've never used it, it doesn't even get in their mind to say to you to use it. So it's not like they're being mean. It's just they've had a whole life without it. So this one apartment is $560 for the entire year. Wow. And I keep this apartment because I've served so extensively in this community. I'm a person that I don't need high rises. I need community. So that if I get sick, if I pass out, if I lose my key, if I'm short of toilet paper roll, whatever I need, the community is here for me. They know me. I'm a part of them. And I need that. And I need that elder system for my daughter. And I need friendship for my daughter. I need her to come and people know her and welcome her and so forth and so on. You get it? So I kept this apartment, even though the marriage collapsed, I wasn't giving up the apartment. But then I got another apartment, still in Pone, that's 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, big hall, unfinished kitchen, nice space for, peace and privacy. Because he when I put him out, he moved next door. So I still didn't have peace and privacy. And so my answer to that was, well, when I'm in Ghana, this is my home. You're not running me out of my home. So I'll get another home with that has a gated fence and the whole bit. And that apartment is 1,600 for the year. But for me, I said, well, when I'm not in the space, it can be an Airbnb. It's a space when family and friends come to visit, when I'm having events or ceremonies, I don't have to be scrunched. And then I'm a highly creative person. I'm very driven, but I'm not that organized. If I don't have an organizer, I'm not organized. So the extra space allows me to have a place so I can have a room for, books. I can have a room for whatever it is, whatever God work I'm doing. I have a space for that now. And it gives, I don't feel so like claustrophobic because Africans manage small space very well with multiple people in it. And we're actually not used to that. Like, there's almost nobody that just goes off to their own bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Like there would still be somebody in that space, or, there's mats in their hall where other people can come and lay down. And we're not like that really. Unless you come out of the South and you come from them big Southern families, and we're not having those big Southern families anymore. So
Right.
the cost of living is relative to you taking the time to understand the economy that you're in, not looking back at America and doing that comparison, but rather looking at that CD and seeing how far does the CD take you, learning what you need per month. What do you, not the man across the street, you, what do you need per month to be okay? And if you get there, then you can do like the sister did and occasionally, hang out in the crowd, go visit here and there, do the museums. Ghana has 16 regions. If you never left Ghana, you still would be finding places to explore. Like it's so rich in culture that's outside of Accra that you literally could each month figure out a trip. And they offer them. They offer all kind of tours in the different regions that have nothing to do with the last region you was in. That has something special and unique in it. And so, me and my daughter, we've made an effort to do that. And that's made even living here nicer.
I got you.
And I wish I had more of that. I wish I had like more of the opportunity. And it's not because I try not to talk about money for too much, because the environment that I live in, when I talk about it, then you have people knocking, you have people.
Yeah.
So I'm very mindful of that. But like, I really do wish I had more
They
of
beg.
opportunity to travel. Auntie,
Mhm.
auntie, so many different things,
Mhm.
right? But because I don't have so much of a community, and my husband and him were placed here because of his work. And if he's working and he can't travel with me, a lot of times I don't feel comfortable going to places by myself. So even coming upon 3 years of being here, there's still so many other different places in Ghana that I haven't seen because his work schedule is so hectic. Taking the time off
Mm.
at work, and it makes it more difficult. But I 100% agree with you about like living locally, and I'm very mindful of, because we're by Royal Senchi, and the resorts and stuff. I try not to go to those different places, but sometimes it's like my outlet. Like I just need
Yeah.
something Western, but I try to
Mhm.
patronize like local establishments and like do things in a more local way. But my first year here, living like a tourist. I'm just like, how can I blow? Like, but I think there's like a curve, like a learning curve. I don't have any children, I didn't come here with anybody, just like
Mhm.
myself. And so, my first year and a half, I've spent a lot and just kind of, for my own adjustment, like adjusting and like
You
making
needed
myself
it.
feel more comfortable. Yeah, for my mental health. Like sometimes it's just, I don't know, the sense of loneliness. That's like a real feeling that you can feel. I'm okay with being by myself. I'm kind of introvert. I'm like an ambivert, but sometimes it starts to get to you, or I'm home with my cat and I'm working on my computer, and so if I don't got nothing else to do, I'm gonna just work online and make money. Now I got this money. What I'm gonna do? I want to go out. I want to do, all these different things.
Mhm.
To
Speaking
try to
of making
enjoy.
speaking of making money, what all do you do to generate income?
Well, I came
Online
here.
work.
I was still teaching for Concordia University when I came here, and of course, COVID helped a lot because they hoisted everything online. Everybody was hoisting everything online, and so it was easy to. I was doing it anyway, but it just made it even better. But eventually they kind of downsized me more, you know, because of COVID too. That became an excuse to close out positions and do different things. So now I started my own business. I started an online store through Etsy. I actually have two now, Etsy and Equid, which is Wonderland's Naturals and Wonderland's Naturals Plus. And so I sell everything that is authentically Ghanaian or West African, with a concentration on unique herbs or things that are valued by the culture that you wouldn't necessarily know about. And I have a small set of, I consider my team members that assist me that are Ghanaians, and they have open me up to things that maybe product that they grew up with, or stuff that they use to solve a problem that's not common to us. I am the student of a few herbalists. I keep a few that I talk to, and then I have one who's one of my team members who is uh, he's a certified herbal doctor, but he also is certified. He's also a holistic doctor, so he's a part of my team, and that has made the difference for the store. So the first year I was with, I kind of opened it with my husband, and we were doing well together until the dissolution portion, and then the next year I was able to, without him, scale the business even higher, because I was able to bring in all my creativity, in terms of how you run bargains and sales and combinations, and he taught me a lot about packaging. But even beyond that, just like attaching yourself to other things that help your product stay alive. So I do offer shop for a cause, where you can come to the store and shop if I'm sponsoring a particular special cause or special group. I do give a certain amount of stuff away, just kind of like as part of the Mercy Ministry, helping people, particularly around malaria, because we make our own anti-mosquito soap. And then again, it's how I'm feeding myself. So I take it very serious. I'm very proud of it. But yeah, she's 2 years old. She's 2.5 years old, and she's thriving well. So much so, she got a little baby sister I work with the online store, and that's what I do, and it works for me because I float above the government. Do you understand? Like, there is something to running into the kinks and I don't want to say corruption, but you just run into a lot of static when you have a brick and mortar store here, that they may not support it. Yeah, that they may even if they like you, they may not support it because they feel like, nah, we want some of that good American money. We're not finna give you our CDs. So, and then you just run into like saboteurs, people who will steal things or damage things, or lots of shops have had that problem where they open up and they just they
You
steal
lose
from them.
more than, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the brick and mortar, it doesn't appeal to me so much right now, but in the future is something I would like to work towards. I'm an online English and TEFL coach. So I've been teaching English as a foreign language for nearly a decade. I've done teacher training, and I've taught for everybody and everyone else's language center. And when COVID happened, I transitioned online because I wanted to travel and teach. And so I've been sustaining myself through that way. My online company is called Emerging English Coaching. We've been recognized through the Corporate Visions Education and Training as the best online English language coaching platform in West Africa. So I'm really happy to hold and have that type of recognition, because English is a global language, and people need English for different opportunities. And so expats who are in Ghana, or even Ghanaians themselves, who want to make money online or go abroad, come through my course and program. It is a challenge for some of the Ghanaian people to pass through my course because of internet connection, and they have to do online teaching practice with my course, and so some of them struggle a little bit with that. But we've been in business for about a year now, and we've had some graduates who've been successful. We even have a Ghanaian lady who's now in Vietnam teaching English, who's come through our program. And so that's been how I make my money, myself teaching people English and then coaching others on how to teach English.
Now, is that on the Ghana economy, or is that tied to another country?
Both U.S. based
Okay.
and Ghana based. Yes.
Because that's important. If you're making that U.S. money.
I mean, I know I have to pay taxes. This is live though, so I understand.
Oh,
My
gotcha.
tax
Yeah, so
for
she's
my
trying to get you to
country.
tell
I got
the
you.
secret.
I got you. I got you.
I understand.
We got you.
But yeah, so that's important to note as well, because if you know you're a sole proprietor in the US or whatever, you still have to pay taxes. We're expected to pay taxes, etc.
Yes. But I think
You know,
it's because I don't know how it works in Ghana, but I was going to live in the Emirates. And you only had to pay U.S. tax if you made more than, I think it was $100,000 a year. Then you had to start paying
there's
taxes
like
after
this
that.
foreign tax exclusion because I've been not because the other countries I lived to, I was paying taxes to those local governments, so I didn't have to pay the taxes. But I want to maintain a certain good standing with the IRS and the U.S.
Yes.
government because I want to be able to
Yes.
use U.S. funds.
And actually, you want to be able
to help me.
You actually want to keep paying into your Social Security and stuff too, so that can keep.
And so I'm trying to be a little bit more, responsible, physically responsible.
Right.
But that's a growing process. That's a growing an area
you're being
of growth.
smart. You're being wise.
And
absolutely.
It's an area of growth because but I'm mindful of that because I've been out of the U.S. since 2016. I'm mindful. I think about, I'm in my early 30s, but still, like, I want to be able to have some type of retirement, have some type of something. So maintaining good position and ties in the U.S. with things, and also here is important. Working both systems.
Yeah, and I worry about, even though, Ghana's a peaceful nation, but the reality is, like, even with COVID, you saw where you could have been tossed out just because of COVID. If you wasn't willing to take that shot. And so, like, we don't need to be foolish. You need to expand territory, but you should be able to freely go back to old territory and pick up where you left off. That's my opinion. So I would, you're doing, to me, you're very wise. I would not mess that up.
Absolutely. Zenobia, what you do for some money?
So I live part-time here, part-time there. I'm keep it real. I'm a federal contractor for FEMA. That pays most of my bills everywhere. So what happens is FEMA, I'm pretty much on call all the time. FEMA calls and I come running. I get like 48 hours to get to a disaster. That's I know when a hurricane is coming, so I can prepare myself, but I get 48 hours after I get that phone call to get to a disaster. But with that, I'm paid very, very, very well.
Nice.
So that pays most of my bills, like my rent and those kind of things. Here, I've had some hiccups. I taught for a year and some change. Well, I started as a Peace Corps volunteer. I quit that. I came back and taught because that's usually the expat job you find when you get, teaching English is what you find when you're abroad. That's kind of universal. And you don't really need much to teach English. Any degree will work, essentially. They just need somebody who speaks that good, clear American English. But my background is in agriculture, and I leaned more into agriculture as a consultant and an agricultural developer. And while I found success in that, it left me with a lot of free time. With that free time, I started to sell some of the agricultural products, and one of them it turned out to be a very lucrative thing. I started selling local liquor. And because I drank local liquor, I could identify what was good local liquor.
The date palm wine and all of that? Or no, that's not what they have there.
Wine. It's distilled palm wine. They distill it into a drink we call here soda bee. And it's distinctly in Togo, it's made from the red palm. When you go to other places, like they make it out of a different palm called raffia over in Benin, it is super sweet.
So you kind of like a moonshiner, almost.
See, now moonshine is a term that applies to it being illegal.
Well, yeah. Corn liquor. No? Isn't corn liquor legal?
That's still illegal too, but
That's
it's
still
fun.
legal
Yeah,
too?
that's
Okay.
illegal.
But
all that good
you're
stuff is
legal
illegal in the
though.
States.
Your stuff is legit.
And I'm gonna keep it real. It's kind of a family business. My grandmother was a bootlegger. She did sell moonshine. So I
Okay.
grew up around the knowledge of how, but she was really illegal. She ended up doing FedCon behind it.
Oh, you're not
She
gonna
wasn't
say
illegal. They was picking on her.
They were, because had she been a white man in the South,
Right. Don't play.
she would be
They
Jack
picked on
Daniels
that
by
woman.
now. She would be Jack Daniels by now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So part of it is carrying on her legacy, but part of it is also, I know what good liquor is, and
Yes.
I turn out a nice product. And I make the alcohol that the villagers drink available to people who can't get to the village. So I'm selling a spirit, it's absolutely great. Mine's is filtered, it's processed a little bit better than they do it just straight out in the village. But also there's an issue with safety of alcohol here. And that's one thing that I can provide that my competitors really don't. My competitors are generally like somebody's mama in a boutique selling her own special concoction. That own special concoction sometimes have some mystery things in it that'll make people very, very sick.
Sure.
Right.
So I provide a safe quality product all the time, and I've built a client base around that. So, I have quite a few customers for my soda bee. We're expanding. It's now coming out in like little sachets. Give me a couple seconds. I can go grab one actually. But that's how I'm making my money now. I'm building my little factory to churn out little packets of alcohol.
Look at you.
And yeah.
So now is it local, or can you export it, or how does that work?
So Togo has more bars per capita than anywhere else in the world. So I'm just focusing on Togo right now. Yeah.
But if some folks back home want to get their hands on, how does that work?
Funny thing is, we're allowed to bring 5 liters of alcohol. I take pre-orders for it when I get to the States. My next round of alcohol has been sold since I got back to Togo.
Wow.
You don't ship any?
I mean, DHL ships, but it's very, very expensive.
So Togo's main postal service is not strong?
Togo's postal service is garbage. Okay. It's the absolute least working service in the country.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fail on their infrastructure. Absolutely.
So Zenobia,
I've mailed things that they've never gotten there.
If the folks want to place an order to sample some of your goods, what is the name?
The name of my soda bee is Dadazi Soda Bee. The Facebook page is running right now.
Hold on. How do you spell it? Because I'm going to put it up in the banner here. Spell the name and give me the website so that I can put it up right now.
Well, the website is still in development, but the Facebook page is running, and the name is Dadazi, DADAZ, spelled ZI, Soda Bee, SODABI, Soda Bee. Let me put it in the chat. Or you can contact me at dadazsodabee.com. Dadaz@dadazsodabee.com. Let me put it in here. Dadaz. There we go. And then it's Dadaz Soda Bee. Yep, that's the name of it. But yeah, and so I actually had a store here before.
What happened?
That sold import goods. COVID,
okay.
Yeah, I sold import goods. The town that I'm situated in is kind of the breadbasket of the country, and it draws a lot of expats that with like different organizations. There's a group of Germans in the country. There's a group of British kids from the YMCA. There were Peace Corps volunteers. There's a town where there's like official tourism. But if you're not looking for the super touristic stuff and you actually live in the country, people would generally vacation in Atakpame, which is where my house in the mountains is. I had a store there that sold import goods. We were doing okay, and then COVID happened and everybody went home. And at the
Right.
end, all I was selling was soda big. So I was like, I got something here. If I'm just making my money off the soda big, then I have something here. So
Wow.
I went back to the States. I took a course in mixology. I took a business planning course. Shout out to True Access Capital. Through the Small Business Administration, they helped me develop a business plan for it. And now I'm in country executing that plan. And things are going all right. Things are going all right.
That's great. That is a blessing. Okay, I love it. And Dr. Wanda, do you have a website or anything?
I do.
Here?
I do. Let me put it in.
Put it in the chat so I could copy and paste it and put it better up. And you as well, Verdell. Your business links, of course, they're in the details. Anybody that wants details and specific links to any of these women here and their goods and services that they are selling, you could find a complete list in the chat, in the details of this podcast. Okay. And this is Verdell's coaching. Verdell, what is the name of your business? Emerging?
Emerging English coaching. So we offer online one-on-one English coaching. The students level should at least be intermediate level, and also TEFL coaching. So if you'd like to learn how to teach English as a foreign language, coaching you through it and offering the certification to be an internationally recognized TEFL teacher.
Okay.
I just wanted to show you guys some of the products.
Ooh, it reminds me of the can you freeze it? Does it like freeze like a
Does not
slushy?
freeze.
Oh,
Oh no, alcohol doesn't really freeze like that, right? It gets a little semi frozen, or no, not at all.
awesome.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, this is what's laying around my apartment right now, so it's all empty. But in general, the sachets are where this is it simple, and then we do a more upscale product, which is it mixed with other
Nice.
infused. This is a vanilla version. It's quite delicious.
Wow. I like the packaging.
Thank you.
Hold it back up for me, please. Hold it back up because I went away from the screen.
Oh, here's it in a bottle. This is
cute.
My more premium product, and this is generally, what we sell.
Mm-hmm.
So you trying to sneak in the party, you fly right, and you slide right in the bra. Yep. You would do, you slip it in the back pocket.
I like it. You're definitely making grandma proud.
Right.
Yeah, she's proud.
I hope.
Okay.
I feel like if she could, this would be her, It's so much bureaucracy in the States. Because in the States, I've
you could have never have done that.
I'm still in the States for 6 months. And I work for FEMA. That's only a couple months a year. That I also partially run and partially own a seasonal gift basket business that's been in business for 12 years now. Only working holidays and really out there hustling on the grind, literally outside, like at farmers markets and things like that. And that level of grind is everywhere here. It's just so unorganized.
Yeah.
And the way things intersect here, there is bureaucracy, but you have to be at a certain level for that to even touch you.
Yeah.
And if you were below that level, it's not even under the radar. There is no radar. There's no radar.
At all.
There is no there's the National Institute of Hygiene. There is no other organization that is even thinking about alcohol here. There's no, there's no firearms and trade. There's no CDs. There's nobody to tax and collect and check your business here until you get to that. I believe their threshold is something like 90,000, the equivalent of 90,000 US dollars is when they start really looking for you. But until then, you can fly here under the radar on a tourist visa and have a business. And it's drastically different than what I've observed in Anglophone African countries, like, the English speaking countries. They seem to have a more on par level with not the same amount of bureaucracy at all. They, there's lots of corruption, but they still have a lot of bureaucracy you have to get through to open.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yes.
And that's why I'm online. And that's why I'm online.
Right.
Ella Dunkar Armstrong says outside to SBA. I'm not sure what that means.
SBA is a Small Business Administration.
Mm-hmm.
But she said outside to SBA. I'm not sure what.
I'm not sure either.
Ella, if you're listening, clarify what you're asking about outside to SBA, please. I'm trying to get an understanding. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I pay taxes on things I need to pay taxes to, and I certainly still pay taxes in the U.S. But that's also because I make so much money in the U.S. There's, can't avoid that.
Right. I understand, girl. I know.
And with them, as living here, if you look at your receipt, we're paying an awful lot of taxes anyway. That COVID. They have a bunch. It's like maybe 5 or 6 things on any receipt that you just be amazed at how much tax you're paying.
They have a COVID tax?
Yeah, they may have finally removed it because even after it was done, it was still on there.
Yeah, that never happened.
When you're sending money through Momo, I send Momo every week to pay like one of my team members, and it's so frustrating because they tax it. And I don't know if I want to and they'll tell you how much is deductible, but how do I even get this back? I don't even know.
I don't know either. And I just let it go because I feel like I'm working with that US platform with the stores and just leave it.
Right.
We don't exactly have the same. A lot of things here are a lot less official. Like most stores you go to here, you're not going to get a receipt. And if you do, it's handwritten. You can't use your card. You can't use your card at 98% of locations. There are maybe 5 or 6 grocery stores here that'll let you use your card. Otherwise, everything is cash. Everything is cash.
We got a little bit more of a blessing in Ghana.
The Visa office doesn't accept cards.
Mm-hmm.
What about with mobile cash? Do they have mobile money where you can pay with your phone? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. So I drive an electric motorcycle. Not only do I pay for the motorcycle on my phone. Well, technically I rent an electric motorcycle at the moment. I pay for it on my phone. I pay for new batteries on my phone. I pay for my electric for my house. We have a system called Cash Power where we just kind of punch in codes and it works like old school phone cards used to. You buy credit for your electric. When that credit cuts off, your lights cut off. I can pay for my water bill on my phone. I can send money from the bottom to the north of the country on my phone. In a lot of aspects, their system of mobile pay on the phone is far more advanced than ours. In other ways, it kind of sucks because we don't have blackouts. We have internet outages. And the internet outages will be system wide. So there have been times where the banks have gone out. And not just
painful.
Not just your bank, every bank. Nobody's getting any money today. Yeah, that has happened more than once.
Scary.
It's
That
painful.
scares me. It's like, let me put my money under my mattress.
Well,
Well, I have grown to respect keeping some cash available because
Yeah.
mobile money kind of spoils you a little bit, you know, because if nothing else, they don't have smartphones, but they will have the you know, the little Nokias, and
Yep.
yeah, I learned like no, keep some cash because the technology does get challenged. We don't really have that as much as the blackouts, but we will go through
I
network problems where the stuff is just
Yeah.
kind of spending.
Yeah, I had that as one of my questions. So hold that thought.
okay.
I'm gonna pop back into the comment real quick. Ella says I
Okay.
work for them, and someone said they went to them for a business plan. Okay, I understand now. So, ladies, really quick, what is a typical day look like? What does a typical day look like for you? I would
Guys,
say a
I'm gonna
work
try
day.
and switch
Mine is
over to my
boring.
computer.
Okay, I'll take you off from here and then pop you back on when you return.
Mine
What is
is
a
pretty
typical?
boring, almost the same. It's almost the same. Pretty boring. Wake up. I usually try to do some type of praying, journaling, processing. What are my plans and goals for the day? Feed my cat, then start work. Sometimes I'll start work at 6 a.m. Or if I have a session that's like at 7, I'll go to the rooftop and work out. And I'm on my computer almost all day in between like sessions. I'm doing some house chores, sweeping, put a load in the laundry, back at my computer. And that's it for me.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'm jealous of your morning.
Right. Dr.
My
Wonder,
typical
what you
day
think?
is I get up around maybe 4:30 or 5ish. Look at the platforms to see what orders have come in. Begin to stuff my orders because my driver also, he's my MVP in many ways, my most valuable player. So he shops, he drives, and he ships. Sometimes I go with him, sometimes I don't. It depends on my mood or what I want to work on back here. But yeah, I stuff those envelopes and boxes, have them ready for him to collect, and make sure we got the money to ship things and ship it off. And then it's lately I've been doing one pots because during this season they have a month where they have to let the fish replenish themselves. So I'm in among the guys, and that's a fishing community. So they're over here stressed with food. So I'll, instead of going to a restaurant, I pay my neighbor. She cooks and we all eat. So I've been participating in the one pot. I do that like 3 times a week to take the stress off them. So I don't have to worry about cooking. They bring it to me, and I wait for my daughter to get home from school. I debate and argue with her about absolutely nothing, and and yeah, it's just you know, internet play, TikTok, all this other stuff that being away from home is a little bit of a band-aid, so I can get some of my own kind. A giraffe need a giraffe, a rhinoceros need a rhinoceros, and after I've gotten a little bit of that, I'm cool.
Okay. I hear that. I want Zenobia to chime. Okay, she's coming back. Zenobia, you're looking a little fuzzy there, girl. But if you can hear me, what is a typical day looking like for you? I tell you, the Wi-Fi is something to behold. I don't think digital nomading will work out good for me
I
there
think you
at
had a
all.
great show. I've been on shows that didn't make it 10 minutes.
Really?
Yes. Those
You
shows
mean
been
because of the
powerful.
Wi-Fi?
No, well, I know in Ghana and Verdell can tell you that we can get rain and it's over with.
Oh,
You're
so
gonna
that
be
that's
fighting with your
okay.
network. So you're doing
It
good.
can
Okay.
interfere, yeah, with the
Yeah,
wind, and it's raining and stuff, so it can definitely interfere. You have to have backup.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully she'll come back in. Can you tell me in the meantime,
Mm.
access to healthcare? What does it look like there for y'all?
Well, the hospitals are popcorn. You don't know what you're gonna get. It is something I think you need to ask people about. I had a best friend, a woman, the probably the only African woman I've considered my best friend. and she died of breast cancer. And we both went on in October for the breast cancer exam, and they found cysts with me and a tumor with her. And her cancer was a lymphatic cancer that was extremely aggressive. But she was also a very traditional Ghanaian woman, believing that I'm just gonna use herbs, and that's gonna, do it. And so no matter how much I begged her, we debated and argued and fought. Look, let me do a fundraiser for you, a big one, because in the States, like we around the world, Western people respect cancer because it's an equalizer. It's
Absolutely.
you can't level up in that. So that took me to go to Port Hospital, to Call It Blue, to Maritime, to Timber Memorial. Like I've had an opportunity to visit the various hospitals, and honestly, there's no it's not even. You don't know what you're gonna get. It is pay as you go. There is a medical card here. It at least covers you getting seen and some basic medication like for malaria and stuff like that. But you got to have some money. You really do have to have some money, and you have to consider that living abroad, that you should keep your whatever medical stuff that you have attached to a job, or even if you're on welfare and you have a medical card over there, you want to keep that active and open, because the truth is, if you don't have the money, there's a huge possibility you would not get any service at all. They're not going to
Exactly.
treat you, and it's not personal, and it doesn't matter the severity. Um, a woman giving birth. They had a woman, wasn't in Ghana, but they had a woman giving birth to twins, and they let her die outside the hospital doors because she didn't have money for it. So that should tell you something. That's an
Mm,
area. All of that social service stuff it needs like overhauling. It needs help. So that's not going to happen in a day or a night. So you don't come here thinking, oh, I was in a trotro and it got hit and I'm injured. They're gonna compensate me. They're not.
no.
You just got injured. Get your butt out the way. Bye bye. And you just
Hmm.
gotta. It's each man for itself. So that sense, I know Verdell could tell you more, but I don't think she had too much of a different experience.
Not too much. The nearest hospital to me is like maybe 30-minute drive, and it's like private slash government. But you have to pay. Like we've had a couple situations where I've had to like drive um to get my husband to the hospital for an emergency, and I'm speeding up this mountain to get to this hospital, and these people are like, "Oh, go pay for this." I'm like, "Go for FNC." I'm trying not to cuss. Go FNC him. Like, I'm gonna pay for it, but like, go tend to him to make sure he's okay. So just different
Oh
things like that. Like
gosh.
she said, you
See,
never know what
they
you're
want that
gonna get.
money first.
And I'm just like, it used to just really make me mad. We have insurance. Like he has insurance through his work. We have a little NHSI, whatever thing. Both of those, and the insurance through his job. And him he's a state worker, government worker. So that should be, and so it was just really irritating to me. I couldn't understand. I was so mad. I don't think some of them had understood my English. And so I just really dread going. I dread going to the doctor, but I still go because, we are family planning. And I'm like, I want to make sure everything is on the I'm healthy, so we have to make sure that everything is good. But I research myself. I start, I need to go and let them know how long I've been feeling like this, because I feel like sometimes they may not even know. So I go in right away, like with some like level of knowledge about how I've been feeling for how long.
Self-diagnosis. Yeah.
Yes. And we're going to
Mhm.
sit here and discuss this so we can figure out. And when they give me a prescription, I Google it and start looking, because sometimes they'll prescribe things and it's like, I'm not taking that, because that's not even what we discuss in our consultation, and yeah, things like that. So the where I am in the region, it's very, and when my time comes for childbearing, I'm probably not going to do it here. I'll probably.
It requires. If I would say, like, when I'm seeing people rush over here, oh, I'm leaving America, I'm going to, you bet that's an area, like, honestly, you need to do some research. Like, when you come visit, come out
Yeah.
of the crowd, come out the club, come out the restaurants, and let that be a tour. Like, I would,
Yeah.
now that I'm here, that needs to be a tour. You need to say, you know what, I want to tour your hospital. I want, you know, even when the fire department, we had a fire in this apartment, and the village helped me put it out, but I never even thought about it. Like, yeah, we don't see the fire truck. They have them, but like these are things that are not.
Dr. Wanda is frozen.
As the infrastructure for those things are just not there on the level that you have your own fire extinguisher. You need to have your own team that you could call if you got into that jam. You need to have left a key with a trusted neighbor, or you understand, you need to have another plan, because the structures where you could just call and, you know, the ambulance is on its way, not necessarily.
Wow.
Not necessarily. So that's what I'll say about that.
I wanted Aisha to talk about her experiences with the healthcare system, but she looks like she's down for the count. Can't get back on. And looks like Zenobia is having trouble. Back to the comments. Ella Dunkar Armstrong says, first time here, good talk. LUCCA Healthcare and Nyoho Hospital are good. Send my bae to Luca. LUCCA.
Yeah, these are in Accra. These are good, but when you're outside of Accra, like Accra can be like a 3-hour drive for me. If there's an emergency, I have to drive to the VRA. And the reality is that it's not staffed well. There are limited beds, there's limited space.
Yes.
And so a lot of people will kind of treat their symptoms. Like even now, I've been, you know, now I'm like, I can recognize when I have malaria. I'm not going to go to the hospital. I'll go to the pharmacy, get a kit, you know, do my own testing, everything at home. And I understand now why many people, Ghanaians at home, will like self-diagnose or use herbs and different things, because sometimes that's a more competent way than some of these student doctors, these student nurses who don't know. I had a girl made me bruise my arm up looking for my vein. It was, I wanted to punch her in the face. Had the needle moving it around in my arm, and I'm for 5 minutes doing it. I'm just like, you know. And then when it comes to, Wanda mentioned the childbirth. I'm a volunteer with the Maywood Clenham Foundation in this region, and we help impoverish pregnant women with the basic necessities, you know, like blankets. Because when you give birth, they don't provide you with nothing, and if you don't have money, you will sit in that hospital, and your baby will stay in that hospital, and you won't be released until you pay. You know, I think it's like 1,000 cities. And so people not even having 1,000 cities to give birth, you know, and the struggle.
Which 1,000 CDs is about $100.
About $100. A little bit.
So,
yes.
But if you don't have it, it's $1 million.
Yes.
And they're not playing. You're not leaving with 95 CDs, you know, or 995 CDs. They want 1,000. So
they want it all. Right. Your baby is not going nowhere. You will stay in the hospital. And so our foundation, we try to support these types of women, because no woman should have to go through this, you know. And then the cost of pads, period, poverty, and health. Like some of these people can't even like afford pads, you know. And so
they tax them. The pads are taxed real heavy here.
And this breaks my heart, because I am a certified nurse midwife by trade. So
then you have a ministry, because I see people come in, you know, one of the things I do on my platform is suggest alternative ways to serve and also donate. And so we over give to schools, and when we should consider, for people who have a heart for those groups, look at the hospital and find out what they're missing, and give some of those items to them, because actually they need them. And that's just the bottom line. She'll tell you, like Band-Aids, you know, hand sanitizer, the mask, even the gowns. Like you'll go places where there is no gown, like they just deal with you in your clothes.
That is tremendous.
It is, but it's solvable. That's the thing. Like it's not so tremendous that it's not solvable. It's actually
shouldn't even be a thing. I can't even believe that this is actually a thing.
But then they want us to pay taxes. They want taxes now, like more taxes paid. And I feel like, well, all these different taxes that you want, are we going to be putting it into some type of social welfare system? Like, where's this money going to go? Like what's
Right.
going to happen? The lack of
But
accountability.
they
That
also
part
need to know how
breaks
to
my
ask
heart.
for it. Like they don't have a vision
Yes.
for a social welfare system. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't envision what that would look like.
Hmm. There are plenty of them who've gone abroad though, who studied. And my thing is like you've seen some of these
You're right.
systems. Yeah, we cannot make this America. It needs to be Ghana. But there are ways in which we can improve the system, but I don't think many want it to be changed. People want to keep it like it is. And they want to go outside, make their money, come back and live like a big man and keep the poor poor. Because
Absolutely.
here with nepotism, if you don't know nobody, if you come from the village, come from nothing, you have no type of connections, getting out of that, like social mobility becomes very difficult for you if you don't know anyone or make some type of ties or connection. So there is no way for you to like and improve your circumstances. So that's why you have people scamming, trying to get green cards through love scams or trying to like get paperwork or documents. They'll be house help in Dubai, or like they try to take jobs anywhere because this like the system. I don't know how to describe it, but the only thing I can compare it to maybe is like in the hood, like how you're in the hood and people just throw stuff and they don't care because they're like, this is just how it is, and then they want to move to the suburbs to something better, but keep the hood and keep it. I feel like sometimes this mindset like still exists that's here.
And see,
Right.
I see it 4 steps down from that, because you also have open defecation and the pollution. Like, so even a cry, I don't think it did it this year, but a few years ago it flooded. How can your major city flood because you have dumped things into your open sewer system? So yeah, I mean, this is all these major cities around the world. They make sure, even in the worst cities in the U.S., your major city is always nice. We always fool people with that major city, as opposed to going into the actual blocks where it gets rough. And
Well,
you see open defecation, you see lack of toilets and things like that. Even
well, we're
in
gonna
those
get it.
areas.
We're gonna get into the infrastructure in a moment. I'm just gonna bring Zenobia up to speed real quick. Zenobia, I had asked about what your typical day looks like.
I could hear and see you guys, but I couldn't. My computer just wasn't fast enough for it. A typical day for me, my days are all over the place because again, I have 2 homes, and I run a business. So I get up around 4 in the morning. I garden for 2 to 5 hours. Then I go back to sleep. I wake up when the sun goes down because there's no way on God's green earth that I'm gardening in the heat of the day here.
Oh,
The heat of the day
Lord.
Absolutely.
here is 100 degrees, you know. And I work dead in the jungle, so it's 10 to 15 degrees cooler inside the jungle, than it is just out in the field. But like gardening, that happens real early. I eat something, go to sleep, chase some food for the evening. If I'm here in the city, I'll order out or go to the beach. If I'm up in the mountains, then generally my partner there, he cooks dinner. We hang out, we enjoy some of the greenery, and go on to sleep.
Hey.
And then we wake up and do it again.
I love it. I love it. And my question after that one had to do with healthcare. Did you have any encounters with the healthcare situation or system?
I use private doctors and private dentists, some of the best healthcare of my life, simply because if you have something wrong with you, they get it done that day. There is no follow-up. But again, I use private doctors. So when I go into the hospital, it's a private hospital. When I go in there and there's something wrong with me, the specialist is there in the hospital. He'll come see me that day as part of my appointment. They'll do the x-rays, they'll do whatever they need to do. They're on the spot, the blood work, everything right there on the spot, same day, as long as I have the money to pay for it.
I was going to say it's all out of pocket.
All out of pocket and cash on hand. There's no put it on your card. They do have health insurance here. It's not worth a damn. It's all out of pocket. If you don't have it, then I've gone to the public hospital. It looked like something out of an apocalypse. There was people laying around sick. There was bloody sheets. There were things that like you couldn't find the doctor because they were so busy. It was kind of scary. However, when I did find somebody and they did treat me, I was, they brought me right back. It wasn't, you don't have to wait a week here to see a specialist or a doctor. You see them the same day, especially if you have the cash in hand.
Is it very
dental care-
expensive?
No. To treat malaria here is $4. Like I said, I have malaria right now. To treat malaria here is $4.
So to treat malaria is $4, but here to buy the pills, like when I travel to Ghana, I have to buy the anti-malarials. And I think there's something like either $30 or $60 for that course of treatment.
Don't buy
You don't
them
have to.
there.
You can wait to get them when you come.
Yeah, don't buy them there.
Well, I buy them here. I buy them here.
here.
I buy them here because the recommendation is to start taking it a week before you go.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I usually
I have no opinion. Again, I don't take anti.
I don't take them either.
drugs. I just
Wow.
touch malaria.
I deal with natural immunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't deal with
I,
malaria.
I was on. It was a requirement in my Peace Corps service that I was on anti-malaria drugs, and I had some very significant side effects. So I don't take them.
I hear you.
I had
It can affect a
mental.
lot of things. Mhm.
I had mental side effects.
That's what they say you can get. And that vertigo
I had
is
methylquin.
on steroids.
Methylquin was the one I was using. It started with like very vivid nightmares. That progressed to panic attacks. And anxiety. I don't regularly have anxiety or panic attacks or vivid nightmares. I barely dream. And I mean, these were intense. Like I'm talking to my dead relatives. I remember in one of my dreams, again, this was 7 years ago, and I'm remembering these dreams. I caught on fire in my dream and woke up screaming. Like it was, it was pretty intense. And then there's like a blackout period where I can't exactly tell you what was happening because of those. I also caught malaria, and I had it very, very bad one time. I was never hospitalized, but it was pretty bad. High fever. I threw up until there was nothing to throw up. The high fever made me hallucinate. I thought I was a spaceship. And I destroyed my apartment. I mean, destroyed it. There was books everywhere, furniture flipped over, a bowl of vomit. It was just like, what happened?
Yeah, I'm scared of malaria. I can't do it.
Ella,
Don't
be.
It
varies.
what?
It
depends on the person.
Yeah, I don't want to go someplace to be sick on vacation.
You have to catch it though, like the fatigue, the aches. If you don't catch it like fast, then and let it progress, I think like what she experiences,
Yeah, that's like right now. I haven't gotten sick from the malaria I have. I just don't look as good as I normally do. And it affects different people in different ways. I have somewhat of a natural immunity somewhere in my ancestral line. They had an immunity to malaria, so it's not deathly ill on me. And every time I get it, it's a little bit easier to deal with it than it was the last time. I'm not afraid of malaria, but you should be. It is a very serious disease in some
absolutely
people.
Should be. Yeah. Absolutely.
There was a volunteer that passed away in Ghana. Actually, one of my friends here now, she's a diplomat. She knew her. And she died of cerebral malaria in 2015. She was a Black woman. So, it is real. It is very dangerous. It is something that you get here, and it doesn't you're not going to feel it right after the mosquito bites you. It takes 2 weeks for it to actually take effect. Yeah. And it really takes effect
like
only
14
at night.
days.
That's why the first time I didn't know I had it. It was because I was sick at night, and I woke up in the morning feeling like $1,000,000, but I looked like a raccoon. So, I learned to recognize the malaria in my face before I felt the symptoms, because it gives me dark circles under my eyes. But it's not like that for everybody. It's different for everyone.
Gotcha.
And I live in, I work in a treacherous environment, so I'm not afraid of it. I'm in Togo for Ella, who's asking.
Yeah, she's in Togo, and she told us earlier that she has malaria, and she still graced us with her presence.
Yeah,
She's treating it. If you treat it, you're okay. But you do have to treat it. You can't
Exactly, let it
blow
go
it off.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when the babies get malaria, that's not good.
That's different.
Oh, look at the kitty. Yeah.
Her name is Precious.
malaria. Again, it affects different people in different ways. I have a friend, a white guy here, who he left the country on vacation and stopped taking his pills, and he ended up in pretty much a coma. On vacation in Europe. So,
Right.
you know,
That's why
it doesn't hit
take
you right
it.
away. And even if you take the malaria prophylaxis, it's not a guarantee that you don't have it. It's just not enough of it for it to be active.
Yeah.
Because it's a
And outside of
parasite.
the continent, I feel like it's more expensive to treat it outside of Africa.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's more expensive to treat
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here they know what they're looking at. Here they
Yeah.
have, 100 patients a week.
Yeah.
And they tell you, sleep with a mosquito net. It's hot as hell here. That's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot. That's not real. It's not real. Mosquito nets are hot.
Right.
Like, people sleep outside when they have big, lovely homes because it's so hot here. It is what it is. Mosquitoes bite.
Ella says, "Bless you for coming on. Loving this
thank
talk."
Ella.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, Ella. Ella also had said a couple of comments back, there is no accountability for taxes paid. They fund themselves. Dated some in politics, and I got sick to my stomach about what I heard. Ella, I need you to pop into this chat here so that you can give some insight too. If you're willing to pop onto this podcast, say hell yeah in the comments and we'll get you on. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to touch upon the corruption and the scamming. I know we had went back and forth with it, and I don't want to spend too much time with it, but y'all can attest to the fact that it's real, correct?
I'm gonna just put it out there. I like it.
You like what?
The corruption and the scamming. The corruption and the scamming for me on this end. Like, I'm used to a little bit of scheming and scamming in the States. You know what I mean? People scheme and scam all the time. But here, when they scheme and scam, I get results. When I have problems, I can solve them with $5 or $10 slipped to whatever official it is that I need for my paperwork to slide.
I know that's right.
And it's
I
always
know
a
that's
discussion
right.
about how much we're going to pay. But if I pay, I get what I'm looking for.
Right. No,
Always.
You're right. And I listen, 100%.
Except when you're vulnerable.
Tell me they need a bribe.
She's right.
Because sometimes they just expect me to know. Like, nah, tell me you need me to slide that $2 in there. Like, just tell me.
A convenience fee.
Yeah, it is. And she's right, except when you're vulnerable. So vulnerability would be you're traveling on a bus and they have points where they have you come off and they say, okay, let me see your passport, and you don't have it with you.
Right.
Or you're in a car and they stop the car and they, you understand, like there are times where it's, because she's right, there are ways and means. There are ways and means to get most things done. You can cut the queue. If you want to spend $90 to, get your Ghana card renewed, you can cut the queue. You don't have to be in a long line and sit out there with everybody else. And, it's worth it. But there are times where, like, you're completely at the beck and call of somebody, and it's scary, because, they, even at the airport, they're, now they're reporting issues of, like, being shut down for this, being shut down for that, and then you have to be careful with kindness, because there is a friendship tax. So someone will be doing something for you and you're like, oh, wow, shoot, thanks, and they're looking like, no, I thought you were going to give me something.
That's what it is.
It's an unnatural thing for us because...
Yeah, I always have this glazed over look in my eyes when they look at me.
Yeah, but when they're standing there like that, like, you're supposed to, and then it's okay. Like some people be like, oh, shut up, I just paid and I go on about my day. But if you're living here, that can be your whole day. Like every place you're going, someone is supposedly assisting you or helping you carry something, or and they're expecting you to rub their elbow, and you're just like, no, like now this shit is getting long. Because you know I had extra 200 CDs and now I'm down to 10 just rubbing elbow. So but it doesn't. I'm gonna say this. I can handle it because I make sure that I have friends everywhere. You understand? So if it gets where it seems like it's getting dicey, there's someone I can call to help advocate for me, because this accent, this American thing, I'm telling you, it is a liability. It is not a plus. It's not a flex.
I hear you.
I want to chime in to that. The checkpoints and the police and the immigration, that is very, very Anglophone. That is very much Nigeria, Ghana. They are not running my shit here ever. I ride up and down the highway every day. They stop us. They are never talking to passengers. I've been in Ghana. I was in Ghana twice illegally. Not because I didn't have my visa or my passport, because they wanted a bribe to get over, and I had a regular legal visa. So I went through the way everybody else here goes through the gate. However, I got about an hour away from Accra, and when they checked my passport, it didn't have the entrance stamp. Don't you know they drove my black ass all the way back to Togo? It was like 4 hours. Yeah, they drove me all the way back to Togo. I've also been in Ghana, and I was on a bus, and they unloaded. The driver and the immigration got into an argument after he paid the bribe to the first officer. They got into an argument, and he pulled every Nigerian. I was in Ghana. He pulled every Nigerian off the bus at I want to say midnight, and took them. It took them. There was no more. We got stopped 11 times that night by every immigration officer on the road. What happened was the immigration officer called ahead and told them we were coming. They marked the bus and they checked us at every stop point. In Togo here, when you go to the north, they may ask you a few questions because they've had terrorist attacks. But in general, immigration is not going to bother you because they don't have the resources. We don't have those police officers. We don't have those resources for those officers. Our soldiers in this country are actually loaned out to other places who have conflict because there's so much peace here. So we don't have a bunch of police. We don't have a huge immigration force. Our borders are security is like a joke. You can just hop through holes. You pay $10 and you can pay $10 and they'll actually escort you through the hole. So
wow,
not the same.
Wow,
not the same at all.
Wow. Okay. Well, we are approaching 3 hours, so I have 2 more. And then we're gonna bring this thing to a close because I'm sure you good people have more than enough things to do.
On a date.
You going on a date? I mean, I already see the infrastructure issue now with the Wi-Fi, but have there been any significant challenges that the lack of infrastructure may have brought?
Open defecation is a problem. Our roads here only get paved around election time. So while we may have roads, they're raggedy dirt roads. It's election time right now. My entire town is getting new roads, which they desperately needed, but it's getting new roads, like real ones, because I want to say 2018, we had a big storm and the entire road washed away. The whole thing was gone down to bedrock, 6-foot holes. And the community came together. Every man in town came out with a shovel and put the road back together as best they could. But our roads are trash. You go to Ghana, you see those tax dollars in action because y'all got some roads. We got sand.
It depends on where.
Some of them roads in Ghana, in Accra, is tore up. I don't know how people can ride motorcycles through those.
But you know what? They should be bothered by that. Do you understand? And that's one difference is that we have, they'll say, oh, we have potholes in America, right? And people come out and at some point raise complete hell. But that suffering and silence stuff is like completely boring and counterproductive. They should be bothered. Like you have a whole tourist industry. And then you have Uber, and then you have Bolt, and then you're delivering food. So you got some good stuff going on, and then folks just tear up their car trying to deliver a pizza.
Right.
Yeah, like why you don't want your industries that are thriving to just be peaceful and thriving? So I don't know what to say about that. I just know that people have said, oh, when you get in the car, I'm like, I'm not in a rush to tear my car up.
Because maintenance is ridiculous, like how much maintenance you have to do because of these potholes. And my town that I live in, the issue it's kind of like a slum. Like when you start to go out down one way, it's kind of slummish. It smells. People defecate, as they said, publicly, and you can smell it. And then when you go down the road toward the other way, it starts to get nicer. Tor Akwesumbu, the world's are developed, Royal Senchi, it becomes a little bit nicer in that way. And it's really discouraging a bit because the town that we're in, Pong, has the potential to be something that's better. And I think that from a political standpoint, people don't want to improve it. Like Pong, and there's a road toward Samania. I think toward that way, Samania way, it's starting to develop a little bit more. But the Pong town has a lot of work still that needs to take place when it comes to the roads, when it comes to the hygiene, on the streets, and the trash with the bottles and everything. So it's
if they just put a deposit on the bottles like they did in Detroit, Michigan, they wouldn't be down on the ground. Just a simple deposit. All they did was
they don't have money.
A bottle 5 cents, the 2 liter 20 cents, and you can't find one.
Yeah.
Because we was collecting them to get hair dye and everything else with them.
Right.
Yeah. So we have an answer for it, but they're not interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Dr. Wanda, you were instrumental in solving someone's infrastructure issue here lately, huh? Can you tell us about that toilet that you got?
Not just me, but the government offered a plan called Gamma, and my friend, my partner, Benjamin Opari, is a environmental inspection officer. He has shared it with me, and they cover 60% of a home toilet because many of the homes here don't have home toilets, and they build the homes without toilets. Okay. And so I said, listen, I like that. Let me help with fundraising. We was planning on just doing it for November last year. And it was, November is 4 months in November. We're saying thanks. It'll be for families. And that project is still going. So, so far we're close to maybe 30 something toilets, home toilets that we've been able to help finance because we're just supplementing what the government has. Now, they just recently announced that they're putting a temporary freeze on it. So, but we had one person reach out to us, which is the tallest man in Ghana. And he's out in the Northeast area. And so I said, we can't, come on, this is a national treasure. He's reported to be 9'6". Whatever he is, he's taller than that thing. Okay. He's huge. And he needs a toilet. His knees are beginning to bother him, the squatting. And we took up the charge. So raised money to get his toilet built. I put a flyer up on TikTok. I did Facebook, but my TikTok family was really sweet. And we had a goal of $700 US just to get the toilet and his seat and his hand washing basin put in. And we met it. And so, he has sent messages. We're set to travel to go see him on the 14th to actually stand with him and take pictures and celebrate the whole thing. But that's how real it is. Someone that is your national treasure. Somebody is in the Guinness Book of World Records, or it has been interviewed by BBC or CNN, whoever has interviewed you can type it in on Google. It needs a toilet, and
Exactly.
and he shouldn't. He should, there should be something. Just by the mere fact of how tall he is, the community should have said, okay, with him, let's, because he's a sweet spirit. He seems to be a kind person. But yeah, we're very proud of that we was able to answer his call. He's 12 hours away from us, so we're gonna fly down there to him, make a 1-day trip, and then we're gonna fly back. But yes, we built him a toilet.
That's great because we all know that in that circumstances, and I mean, not to be graphic, but shit goes downhill. The public defecation affects everyone.
Yeah.
The shit rolls downhill, literally.
Well,
So it was very important to get
it
folks
goes into the water source,
right.
okay? Because during the rainy season, many of them defecate in those black bags, and then they toss the bags anywhere. And in rainy season, it actually moves them and it unlocks them. Okay, so that fecal has shown up in our water.
Yeah,
It
that's
also is a problem in terms of typhoid and cholera.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you have to be careful with your street vendors because they're if in fact my daughter taught me, if you eating food by a vendor and you don't see a water source, where are they washing their hands? Because if I go
In their
take a
water.
dump or
Mhm.
pee and I come back and I'm managing your stuff, you understand? Where did
right.
I wash my hands? And it's all this simple stuff. So I didn't get into this because I got some big giant bleeding heart. I got in there because I don't want to be sick. I don't
Right.
want you coming here.
Yes.
I want for you what I want for myself. And I want to go and buy a water and feel like it's been filtered and purified and I'm okay. And I think every citizen here should have that experience, but it's not safe tossing boo-boo all around your country. It's not what you want to do. And yeah, I don't know how to get that across to people, like especially the modern groups who are build your house, even if it's a mud house, build it with a toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You can have a simple outhouse, you can have a hole, but you got to build it with a toilet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And again, ladies, make sure I have all of your links for any initiatives that you are involved in and how to donate and keep these good this good work that you guys are doing going. Okay. Um Ella said the Uber and taxi drivers are lead responsible, left, I guess, responsible to fix some of the potholes in the communities they drive in and live. They have days and high drives have to fix them and fines if they don't do their day. But fixing is sand and stones. So wait, the Uber drivers and the taxi drivers are responsible for fixing the potholes? Or am I interpreting this wrong?
You're interpreting it wrong.
Okay, can you clarify?
I'm
I don't
saying
quite
we have an
know.
industry that's thriving.
Hmm.
That industry is thriving. Okay, at least the government should be interested. I mean, you got what 1.9 billion dollars came in here from the year of the return, and so we know
Yeah.
for sure that cabs and Bolt and she's in the crosser. She knows all the stuff that's going on there. You should at least want those roads to be nice. Why are
Absolutely.
you tearing up their car? It's you. They working against themselves, and then we have a fair share of motorcycles, motor riders. I
Right.
worry about them a lot of times out here on raggedy roads. That's what I'm saying. Like, if every country loves its red light district, it's big city stuff, is the restaurant strip. Why you don't even want that to be superb? That should at least be superb.
Right.
Mm.
Right. 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 Yahya is saying, okay, wait, I skipped something. Yeah, is saying, I really enjoyed the conversation. You people explore every avenue. I love it. Well, thank you for tuning in, yeah. And then he also said the Uber drivers and the taxi drivers are not responsible for that. It's the responsibility of the national road authorities. Absolutely. 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 I agree. I mean, here in the States, we pay taxes specifically for roadways as well as tolls.
We do.
Tolls contribute a lot to the maintenance of the roadways and the maintaining the law and order on the roadways by way of speed limits and all of that kind of thing. So I don't know if they have that kind of system there in Ghana.
They
But
do, but I
Not
mean, I
anymore.
think the
They
toll
took
got
away the
closed
toll.
up. But
why would they take the tolls away?
They
Like
did.
why?
I mean, were they
Okay.
using the money for the road in the first place, though?
Right. That's a whole other thing. So ladies, do you have
But
any
now, yes.
do you have any advice to aspiring black expats that have the continent of Africa in mind for their safe soft landing spot?
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, no, Africa can be whatever you make it.
Jibbo, your people are here.
You don't have to, if like the poverty is here. That a lot of that poverty that I see on TV is here and it's real. I don't live in it or around it because that's not my place. Find where you fit. In America, we have a different class and caste system. Find where you fit in society here, and life will be much easier. Like being in with the poorest of the poor just don't make sense. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Find where you fit. Find where you fit in society.
Fair advice.
I'm gonna say that stop with the groups, being in these groups and getting information from random people that you're not sure if what they experienced was a visit or they're living there. Because when you come for a visit, you walk away sort of euphoric. Oh, I love everybody. Everybody loved me. It's so beautiful. The people are kind. Everything, that's what you walk away with. And that's true. But it's no different than, when you're dating and you get past that honeymoon stage and you get into the reality of it. So it's nice if you know someone, that you can have as a guide. You should have some people that's not jaded, because we do go through stuff where you can catch one of us going through a bad patch, and we'll tell you some stuff that'll make you go home. But in the end, you need to do some research on the economy, know the different, know what your dollar is and what it does. Okay, and don't be so quick to come and spend as opposed to explore. Because if you explore, then even if you get with a family or a couple people, they will take you places that's, and I love, Kwame Nkrumah Museum and, W.E. Du Bois, Center and all that stuff. But that's not completely Ghana, and there's so much more that these individual families and friendships, places that they'll take you, that's mind blowing and so beautiful and so memorable, that if you come off of the, sort of like the scripted and allow yourself to really have a different type of fun, it's really nice. Last thing I'm gonna say is, don't commit to one region. Like, make up your mind. When I come, okay, I'm gonna go to Accra, I'll go Volta, I'll check out the east. Okay, I'm gonna come to Accra, I'm gonna go to Kumasi, come out of Kumasi, and maybe I'm gonna go north, or I'm gonna do a whole bunch of north and go. But don't limit yourself so much, because the regions they are different. They offer different jewels, and the tribes have different personalities. What you experience among one group is not linear. It doesn't necessarily transfer to the other group. And you won't know that, and you'll start saying, Ghanaian people do this, Ghanaian people do that. And you'll meet another tribal group and they're like, no, actually, we don't. We don't. And you'll be irritating to them, because they actually, some of the stuff that irks you, they don't even relate to themselves. And like Zenobia said, be you. Like, don't come and be like copycat. Be yourself
Exactly.
among them, because you're not in their tribe. And it doesn't matter whether they give you a name change and y'all do the dance and they rap you. You're still not in. You're still not in
Right.
it. But
Right.
but they will
Yeah.
take good care of you,
Right.
authentically as yourself, especially when they know that's truly you. So they forgive.
Mhm.
I mess up so many words. They just forgive me and love on me. You know, and they don't have to. They can be, offended and irritated, and sometimes they actually should be. But they recognize, like, no, she's here for the purpose of being good to us and living. Let's love on her and get her past some of these rough spots.
Okay. All
Yes.
right.
I,
Verdell.
good advice. So I'll add small pieces. Um, Maintain good financial status in your home country. Like, you should keep
Good
banking.
advice. Good
There,
advice.
keep your U.S. banks. Don't be so fast to partner and get into a business. Everybody's gonna approach you with different like ideas, but don't be so quick to say yes and sign on. Um, be open, but use discernment. Have a good time. Observe. Trust some of your instincts. If you feel like you
Yes.
shouldn't be around some people, poisoning things are real. These different things, but don't be so afraid that everyone's just coming against you and everyone's talking about you, because it's not necessarily the case. But still, just have a level of awareness to your environment, your surrounding, as well as welcoming people. But just realize, just because someone says yes to you or smiles in your face, just like in the States, they're not always for you. So
Right.
just being mindful of that.
You're
Um,
right.
and don't
You're right.
commit. Don't commit to like, oh, I'm going to move here, and you've just explored or been to that place once. It's okay to change your mind. That's okay. So if you come and you
Yeah.
change your mind, that's okay. Maybe Ghana's not for you. It's okay. Maybe
Right.
there's another place. So be
Right.
kind to yourself and don't feel like you failed as a Black person because you just came, get with Ghana. Another country may be for you. So yeah, that would be
I
the
for,
advice.
I forgot to
Yeah, I'm
ask
gonna
y'all
post
one
Ghana is not for me. Woo, Lord Jesus, it is
hard.
not for me.
It was harder living than Togo, correct? So
Yes,
to
and
speak.
they have an anti-LGBTQ law happening. In one of the groups that I'm in, you mentioned the groups. Someone was posting about Ghana and like, as an LGBTQ person, if they came here, how would it be? And I'm like, don't sugarcoat things. Like, be honest with people. Like,
Right.
right
So,
now, of what's happening, they're trying to criminalize like
so
this.
there was when I was in
Mhm.
Ghana, there was an open call to violence on the radio to
Oh.
homosexuals,
Whoa.
like an
Whoa.
open call to violence.
Like public
It was one of the most
flogging.
terrifying things I've ever, because I was, Ghana is definitely a spot with a lot of beautiful, beautiful Black people.
Of course.
Um, but there was an open call to violence when I was in Ghana, and the fear there for homosexuals is real. Not so much here. Here we live in our best lives. We may,
Wow.
we may have the cloak of straightness, but we are living our best
So
lives.
Interesting.
understanding some of those laws will be so important, because you
Yeah.
don't want to come to a place to get yourself killed or get yourself locked up.
Right.
So
Right.
being aware is very, very important.
And the
That's
laws
So
too,
I'd
as it
say,
applies to marriage, even when you hetero, like
yes.
people are getting into these arrangements and not understanding where the muscle is at. And in a patriarchal nation, it's going to fall with that man.
yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you
Yes.
understand? And
Yeah.
and you have to recognize that. Like, even, my daughter is here. If we had, which I didn't do anything. I didn't buy land. I didn't do the green card. I didn't. I did no major purchases because I saw some things in his maturity I didn't trust. I didn't like. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, had we done that, the bloodline rules. She's not,
Will
unless
go
there was a
to
will in place. This is the law. She gets nothing. Everything. And those spiritual wives, those they can come from the back, whoever they are, and if there's children involved, and collect. Do you understand? Women
Wow.
get put out of the home, like the man dies, and if these things haven't been worked out in that will, she can be removed from the home, and the family members can move in the home, and this is the law. So
Yeah.
we're getting in these arrangements, and we're not understanding, like, no, there are laws that back certain things that's happening. You should make yourself aware of it, especially if you put your life savings in it.
Protecting your
things
interests and yourself.
Some things that Togo is a little more progressive on are we do have laws around inheritance where the wife now gets the inheritance. It used to be the oldest son, but now the culture is matured and it's now the wife. Around property rights, I purchased land. I own land here. I had to purchase that land with a Togolese person in order for me to actually own it. And by default, if anything happens to me, it belongs to her. I'm very happy with that because this is somebody I trust and love.
Right.
Other things here, the maternity leave here. Maternity leave here is a thing. If you work an official job here, I believe they give you 9 months maternity leave and you get 3 to 6 months paternity leave.
Wow. That's good.
That's more than the States.
Abortions are
Absolutely.
available here. We don't, as LGBTQ, we don't have rights, but we also don't have persecution simply because they don't have the resources to persecute us. So, those kind of things are different and vary from country to country, and they're not necessarily available online for you to read about.
Right.
There's not a place here where I can go and learn about property laws properly because a lot of them aren't technically official.
In Ghana, we don't have that excuse. It's online. You can type it in and come up.
And they give you like a map, and that's your land. For me, that was really unofficial because there was no title deed. But I do own my land free and clear, and I don't have any problems besides people occasionally stealing my bananas. So,
Let me ask you: do you have to do border runs every once in a while to renew your visas, or how does that work?
Residency.
I've been here for 7 years on a tour. Well, 5 of those years I've been on a tourist visa.
Okay.
And the visa recently went up. Now, unfortunately, I have to renew my passport because they stamp just all willy-nilly. But no, tourist visa works for Togo. I have a 5-year multiple entry for Ghana. That's also a tourist visa. Benin, I do single entries usually, but I don't go to Benin that often. And Nigeria plays too many games, so I've only been once. I don't fool with Nigeria's visa process because they got jokes.
Yeah, I have residency.
I went for the residency. So I'm on the first time we did a year. This time I did a 2-year residency.
Yes, the same for me. Residency, and I'm working on the citizenship. Maybe by the end of next year, I'll submit my application.
I have
for
Togo does not offer dual citizenship, and I have no intentions of giving up my American passport.
I know that's
right. and here you can, they give the right to abode. You don't have to, but I haven't worked on citizenship primarily because I have no intention on voting. So the residency, they have something called indefinite residency where you can come back and forth. I've looked at that, but the residency mattered to me, especially after COVID, because I said if something happens, literally they could say everybody that's not a citizen of this country needs to go. Right. That's not at least a resident needs to go. I would never want that to happen to me over a basic pandemic that I felt like was manageable. Do you understand?
Right.
They said Africans was going to drop like flies. They didn't. The West did.
Right. Mm-hmm. I hear that. All right. Well, let me jump back in these comments real quick, and then I will wrap things up because we are pushing 3.5 hours, girl. Times flies when you are having fun. Yahya said, okay, we said that one already. Ella had said some places in Accra and especially Kumasi, the drivers are held responsible, I guess. And Yahya said, yes, they do, but they are not doing the needful. I'm sure. Thanks, Docs
Sound advice, says Ella. And
You're
Ella
welcome.
says, Caps Verdell, yes. Well, ladies, this was a good one. Thank you all for your
You're welcome.
participation. Let me
Thank
say
you.
some final, don't hang up yet. Don't disconnect yet. I will give you the okay to disconnect. I will let the viewers go first and then we will sign off. But let me just give some final thoughts on the subject. The decision of Black American to expatriate to Africa is a multifaceted and deeply personal choice driven by a range of motivations. It reflects a desire to explore and reconnect with African roots, culture, and heritage, while also seeking opportunities for economic and professional growth. For many, it is an opportunity to escape systemic racism and discrimination prevalent in their home countries. By embracing Africa as a new home, Black Americans are not only forging a stronger connection to their ancestral homeland, but also contribute to the diverse and vibrant tapestry of African society. This choice represents a profound journey of self discovery, cultural exploration, and the pursuit of a more fulfilling life, ultimately shaping the unique experiences and narratives of Black Americans in Africa. Until next time, ladies, please tune in to our next episode of Spilling the Tea with Saafiyah, which will stream live on the 12th at 7:15 p.m., which is Wednesday, and we will be discussing birth trauma, its impact, and how to heal from it. Okay, so we have a couple of professionals coming on, as well as some ladies that are on to share their experiences. So please tune in. We're streaming live at 7 p.m., 7:15 p.m. Central Time. That is like Chicago time for those of us in the United States, okay? Until next time, I think we have one more comment. Amina said, I really enjoyed everyone. Thanks again. You're welcome, Amina. And
You're
please
welcome.
keep tuning in to Spilling the Tea with Saafiyah. Until next time, folks, I bid adieu.